big up, and welcome to Liverpool 12th Man Show. We are live and direct. We are coming live and direct after this Fulham game. I'm going to actually mute the game here in the background just in case people can hear it.
1-0, is it, to Fulham?
It ended up being 1-0. It ended up being 1-0 and it's final now.
That's good for us, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely good. It's good results. It's not only that.
Do you know what over Isaac? Like, it's been 2 days now since it happened, and my anger's subsided a little bit, but I'm still pissed off about Van der Ven. He should have been booked before.
Hold that anger. Hold that anger.
Before that, for the studs on Isaac's thigh, not long before he potentially has ended the season with the second tackle. He should have been booked for the first tackle. I don't know why he wasn't. The referee clearly saw it. He brought his studs down on Isaac's thigh. That was just like up in the air. As Alex was like that. He come out from the box with his left leg and went down on his right thigh. Didn't get booked, and then that happens. As I said, my anger's died down a bit, but it's took the shine off the results. Do you know what I mean? It's I'm glad we won, but it took the shine off the results. I'll say that much.
I get you. We're gonna have that's gonna be in today's episode. Actually, that's at the end of the show. We're gonna get into. I think truthfully, I was just talking about. Excuse me. Let me get my words together. I was just talking about it with Milante backstage. About how I think maybe Spurs are becoming possibly one of the dirtiest teams in the league. I know it doesn't sound like that could be the case, or they don't normally hold that that moniker as being their as their team label, but when you see that segment that we have at the end of the show. Tell me if you think different, or definitely tell me if you think different. But let's get right into what we got to bring in today's show. And let me say officially welcome back to Dustin Bonkers. Let's see, Red Armchair Supporter in the chat. I see all you guys. Big up to all of you. Or it's a little bit of a later hour of a broadcast for us. But we're seeing if this is trying to find the sweet spot to where we should be trying to go live, but I figured it was the Fulham game was on, so people probably will be watching that. And now that Fulham game has gone final and it's been 1-0 to Fulham, then now we can move on and into conversation about our Reds. So I would definitely say, sit back, relax. I'm not gonna. I was about to do a Tribe Called Quest line, but I'm not going to do that. So let me just say, things are what they are, which meaning like I'm saying not because things are calm. I'm saying we need to keep things moving forward. I understand that we want to stay positive. We want to stay optimistic. This club doesn't do silence for long, obviously, and when Liverpool start briefing or leaking information or nudging narratives into the bloodstream, it usually means decisions are being shaped, not just debated. And right now we've got transfers stirring in Brasilia. Should be cool. Actually, shout out to Brazil. I think I'm actually trying to line up a trip to Brazil. So hopefully I get the opportunity to go. It'll be most likely after the World Cup too. Succession plans for our team, with whispers around some names that would be brought in and some names that possibly would be leaving the club. An availability crisis forcing uncomfortable truths for us. That is something that we talked about yesterday, but we'll talk about today too. Media praise that feels like media praise, and also media speculations and pointing out something that I was speaking on yesterday. Some of the reasons why I was going up and back and forth with some of the insights of my fellow content creators out there, and in the premise that they were somewhat, I think the word is glazing, glazing over certain things, like kind of like trying to make it a little bit rosier of a horizon, as opposed to not really addressing exactly what was going on with the team. And then also refereeing chaos, what Lee just spoke on. This thing seems like something that we should talk about, because we understand the fact that the PGMOL is horrible with the way that they keep their standards. But this game, really, when you watched it back, you saw that this game was absolutely poorly officiated, and we need to definitely emphasize, or at least put the spotlight on some of the things and reasons why Spurs might be one of the dirtiest teams in the league. So this episode is about pressure points, where Liverpool are stretched, and where they're planning to go and move forward, and be put back. So we've got with us Nalante, and we've got Lee. So shout out to Nalante. Big up. How are you doing today?
Yeah, all good. 12th. Yeah, big up the chat. Big up Red Armchair. Everyone inside, like, share, and subscribe. So yeah, all good. All good.
Big up. Big up. And Lee, got Scouse Lee in the house. Scouse in the house. Big up.
Yeah, I'm
you?
surprisingly good, considering we're getting the. We don't know for sure yet, but it sounds like he's not going to be out. It's going to be a while. He's going to be out for. It's not going to be a short time. I'm just trying to come to terms with it, because I feel it didn't need to happen. There's no need. He didn't need to do that. He did. He needed to make the challenge, but not the way he did it. Don't like it. He's a marked man now for me, in the sense that I don't like him anymore. He's a player who's good, and he's pacey, and I wanted him for us before they bought him. But since he came in, we've seen his injury record. I'm not as keen as I was, but he's a good defender. He's fast, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think there was any need. There was to tackle him, but not in that way. I felt he wanted to hurt him, and he's already tried to not long before that and escaped a booking. Their players did lose threats. I'm not sure it came from Thomas Frank that he instructed them to be like that, but they should, because they're in a bad run, and that they couldn't take it when we were in front, and even before we went in front, there was some dubious challenges on our players, and I just did not like that aspect of it, because we've got quite a few injuries now at the same time. We've got a suspension to Szoboszlai now. We're down to the bare bones. And put that aside, I'm in a jovial mood and think we're heading in the right direction. 6 unbeaten, 2 eminently winnable games coming up. Wolves at home and Leeds at home. Should be able to win both.
Well, only one game before the New Year, actually.
Is there?
Yeah, there's only one
before the New Year.
Wolves is the last game. Leeds is like,
we've got to wait.
We should. Yeah, we should be looking at 3 in a row for the first time since 14 months of September. We should. If we don't, oh my God. I mean, geez. This will be the that. I mean, if I don't care if it's Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah.
That is just, sackable. That is just, you know what?
Yeah.
Go. I mean, he's still in there somehow, and he's gotten some results. But But anyway, we'll see. Regardless of how much injuries we've got, that's not no excuse.
They're my sentiments exactly. The Lancey that despite the injuries, there's no excuse for not beating Wolves. This Wolves, I know they've showed a little bit in a couple of matches, like they've come back, it seems. But mate, this is a bad Wolves side, and their confidence is
no Premier League wins, Lee. 0. 2
if
draws.
they were to pick up their first win against Liverpool at Anfield, then that's or just a point would be monumental for them. But to get a win, no, man, that happens, then there's absolutely no defense of this coach. There being absolutely no defense of this coach. I'm not going to because I don't want to see that happen.
Of course. Yeah, we've been through enough already. Yeah.
But shout out to Ardo, shout out to Norm. I see you guys in the
big up Norm, big up Hyla, big up yourselves, everyone, big up everyone.
Yeah, definitely. Hi Laura, I appreciate the update opportunity to be waited on. I appreciate that. Because we'll definitely talk about the injury a little bit here, but I'm waiting for some real concrete news to be given, or at least the scans to be done. But I'm gonna begin by talking about the January window that's getting closer and closer to each day as it passes, and that is Liverpool's transfer posture this week tells you possibly more than any press conference ever could. And what I mean by that is, for years, the South American market has been treated like a museum exhibit by Liverpool. Admired from a distance, rarely touched. Meanwhile, rivals have been mining it like a gold mine. You know, like you see what Chelsea has been done with their South American projects that they brought in and the likes. But now, suddenly, a 17-year-old Brazilian attacking midfielder named Gabriel Mec, which is kind of interesting because I play Football Manager, and actually, he's like a wonder kid, and he's already on my team. So he's already on the team, I should say, in the sense of already transferred. I get him. He's because of his age and some of the permits on the game, the permits that you have to get, the working papers. I'm still waiting for him to arrive in the summer. But that's just video game talk. Let me get back into this. Gabriel Mec, MEC is his last name, is expected to be the subject of a bid for our team. 15 million euros is what is expected. And that's not a monitoring bid. That's an actual proposal that is being made. And that's huge. It really does matter. It matters because Liverpool don't speculate at that price. At that price point, normally you don't see Liverpool speculating on potential talents and such. They believe the upside is enormous for this player. It matters because Gremio aren't bracing for rejection. They're preparing for negotiations. That's the team he plays on in Brazil. And it matters because Liverpool cannot register him yet. Like I just said, they're going through the same problems I'm going through in the game. But this isn't about instant impact. It's about maybe future scarcity. Liverpool finally acknowledged that waiting until players are 60 million pound finished projects, is a losing strategy. Especially with our academy. I don't see why we don't bring in more talent like a Gabriel Mec, for instance, considering how incredibly sound our academy is. And if we don't do this strategy, it'll come with some regret, because if FSG had a satellite club, this deal would already be done in part. They were initially looking to buy a team in Brazil. And that brings us to January. The language hasn't changed. Accelerate, open to, monitoring options, all those buzzwords. We're suddenly hearing Liverpool might push for a center back, a winger, and a midfielder in January. Not because it's ideal, but because availability has turned into desperation. And while fans might rage, and I think they should, about Mickey Van de Ven, walking free after a challenge, like Lee just said, that is most likely to have broken Alexander's leg. Ex-refs telling us it would be a red anywhere tells us something darker. Liverpool are refereed differently, and that is just the odds on. That's the seeming to be the more of the trending tone. I'm not trying to go into the tin hat. Don't worry. I should say don't worry. I mean, if he was a part of the show, it'd be great or whatever. But don't worry. I would say don't worry. K-Mac's not going to be not joining us on today's episode. At least I don't think he is. He hasn't hit me up. So there's no conspiracy theories out here or something like that. Shout out to K-Mac. But there's a lot of stuff going on with Liverpool right now. Gerrard publicly offering himself in any capacity. Slot giving Christmas Day off, which is somewhat unheard of because normally we're always playing on Boxing Day, but still, Christmas Day off for the lads, which is a new thing. Jadon Danns nearing a return, and AC Milan circling for Joe Gomez like vultures who haven't checked the squad depth. I don't understand, but there's a possibility that he could lead the squad.
Mate, I'm all in favour of the players having time off so they can chill and that and be with their families, but I've always loved the Boxing Day fixture list. It's a tradition. That's just something I've always liked. That because like a lot of people just sit off on Boxing Day stuff in their faces, and always the footy was part of it. Like you had and everyone played as well. It weren't just one team. Every bloody team played on Boxing Day. Every fixture was fulfilled. So I'm not into it now. There's only one because I always like the Boxing Day fixtures. But
well, Nolante, do you believe Liverpool's sudden openness to South America and January deals is proactive planning, or do you think it's panic disguised as strategy?
I think in the ideal world, if they've done one or two things, we wouldn't be there. But I think certain things have forced their hand a bit. I think things have forced their hands. They probably wouldn't have. They would have gone January without buying anyone. So I think certain things have forced their hand a bit for me. Honestly, it's panic, but it's just kind of forced their hands.
Okay. Do you agree, Lee? Do you think this is like proactive planning? Do you think that the youngster, he's 17 years old, I think like I said, I don't believe we can actually bring him into the squad immediately anyway. We got to get the papers and all the other stuff all handled. But other players that are on that list, I said how apparently Liverpool are looking for a center back, they're looking for a winger, and they're looking for a midfielder in January. Do you think that's panic disguised as strategy, or do you think it's proactive planning?
No, I think 3 signings would be probably the correct amount in an ideal world. But for me, those 3 signings would be 2 centre-backs and 1 defensive midfielder. I wouldn't be signing a winger until the summer. I'd wait until the summer for that because Gakpo will be back soon and Mo will be back from AFCON. I know Isak's out, but do you get what I'm saying? I'd be happy to wait till the summer for a winger and get 2 centre-backs because we need 2 centre-backs. Look, even before Leone and Gomez got injured, we needed a centre-back. We went for Gay. We missed out. That tells you we wanted that extra centre-back. We didn't get him. Now, 2 of them are out. We've got 2. You need 2 for every game to start the match. And that's all we've got now. There's no Endo. There's no one really but Gravenberch. If anyone gets injured now at the back, it's Gravenberch who'll be filling in there. And I don't want that. So we've got to sign someone. And for me, if they were available, that's the key thing. The key word here is availability for this January window. It's what's available in the positions that we need them. I just hope there's enough available because we need it. There's all that money we spent in the summer, which is unprecedented for Liverpool Football Club. But the squad's still embarrassingly uneven and unbalanced, and it needs to be balanced so we can move forward and win the league again.
Okay. We are definitely walking a tightrope. I understand that. We want to stay elite, like you're just suggesting. I get that. We want to stay disciplined. But discipline without bodies becomes negligence. I mean, we definitely need some players in these roles to be able to step up and play. But do you think we are as desperate as it is starting to look like with the, mounting injury list that we're seeing? Do you think that, Monte? Because I actually have if you want to, I can elaborate more. Perspective-wise, Jadon Danns is looking to come back, as an option. Not saying he's the he's the end all be all fix it for the problem, but he's definitely going to be an option to utilize as a forward. We'll have a player that we're going to talk about later on. He's the main topic of this show today, which is Chiesa, that could be utilized as an option in that front line, whether as a striker or as a winger. Initially, we all thought that he was going to be utilized as a wing preference, maybe as a reserve for Salah on the right side, or maybe even occasionally a reserve on the left side. But apparently, our coach has come out and said that he prefers him as a striker or as a false nine type striker or shadow striker. And yet we still haven't seen him provide much in that role too often. And then you could also say, even with the winger situation, I know that we are in the pursuit of possibly getting Semenyo, but then again, bringing in a player might end up like if you end up bringing a left-winged player, at least, that certainly is going to, make it a little bit more difficult for Rio to get his minutes and get more chances to evolve and move into a more solidified role as a backup and future star. There's a lot of things like guys. It's weird. Elliott again. Even Elliott coming back this for January. Not saying I don't necessarily like him at the right wing side of the pitch per se, trying to do what we expect from Salah. But the difference I can say from Elliott and Salah would be that at least in Elliott, you would get the urgency, the emphasis of tracking back and being involved in help defense, which you don't. It would be a different entity in that front line. So there are players. Are we that desperate, or what do you think? At least for the front line, are we that desperate? That question's for you, Nalate. Oh, maybe. Okay, Lee, can you gauge that one? I know it's a little bit of a long-winded setup, but
as I said, I'm not desperate for any forwards to come in January. For me, it's a couple of centre halves at a DM. That's in the ideal world, which we don't live in, and it won't go down that way. But we don't need a forward sign. Now, Harvey is a midfielder. He is a midfielder by trade, but he's an attacking midfielder. Where we need something for me is the 8 and the 6 covering that and bodies. I mean, we've got Curtis, but I'd like to see that. But the main order of business and what is of paramount importance is to buy a centre-back. And I would like an experienced centre-back, not a young centre-back with a quote-unquote potential. I want an experienced centre-back who's ready to come straight in, who's been in the mix before, like in big competitions, who's been around for a good few years. Get him in the team. Get him in the squad, get him in the team, and voila. We should see, what I mean? We should see a bit of improvement, hopefully. And 2 would be even better because we need 2. Ibu hasn't signed any of the contracts he's been offered. Joe's struggling again with injury. Endo's out, and I do not want to see Gravenberch playing in the back.
Would you be upset if Joe were to leave? AC Milan is coming back to the table, trying to set up a 6-month loan deal that would
I've always
obviously with the option to buy.
Yeah, I've always liked Joe and rated him, but like some people were saying, it's not worth risking putting him in at the moment in case you get injured and then we no cover. But I was desperate for him to come in when he did the other week, and I thought he did well. I was doing well for a few games and helped to solidify, and then he got injured. So at this point, do you know what I mean? I'm thinking about the team now and that, we have to have players that are available. So, I mean, if he left in the summer, yeah, I could deal with that. He's been here a long time. Like, maybe it would be time now. Like, because he does seem to be struggling when he comes back in. And it wasn't long he was back in for. I was pleased when he come back in and wanted him to stay in. People were saying, no, he'll get injured. And I was like, so, you know what I mean? We need him, so let's play him. And we did, and he's got injured. But he might be back in the early new year. That'll be a key component of what happens with Joe. If he's back in the early new year, what we hope at best, then we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But if it takes him 6 weeks, 8 weeks from now, we're going to be struggling. Even if we buy someone, we're still understaffed in that position. Do you know what I mean?
In the centre half position, you mean?
Yeah, even before Leone and Joe got injured, we were understaffed in that position because we went for Gahey to make a fifth centre-back and lost out on him, and there was no alternative. So even before their injuries, we were short-handed, and now it's just, you know, it's reached crisis point, and as I said, it's of paramount importance that we get some backup. But for me, I want a good player who can come straight into the team, and somebody who will make sure that Ibu has to play fucking like 7 or 8 out of 10 every week to keep his place. Do you know what I mean? Don't want a young up-and-coming guy who's in the background for ages and be like, yeah, he'll be good in a while. Want someone who's ready to come in now, who's ready to go.
Oh, so wait, you don't want like a Jacques, I think how you pronounce it?
Jacques, the Rennes defender.
How experienced is he? How many seasons? Does anyone know? I don't think anyone knows, do they? Because we don't know enough about him. How many seasons?
I don't really watch. I honestly do not watch that much French.
Two at the most.
2's not too bad. It's a little bit shorter time for me. I would prefer maybe. I do like him, the bits I've seen of him, but maybe a more experienced guy like him. Well, I'll tell you what I would accept, buying him and a more experienced guy, that would suit me down to the ground. Someone like Jacques and a Schlotterbeck, who's got plenty of experience. But it would be interesting if Ibu's replacement was a fellow Frenchman, because, you know, that could be the case, like, if he doesn't sign a new contract. And the way that he's been playing this season, he's another player I wouldn't be asked about seeing leave the club anymore. And I wouldn't have said that last season. But I always had my problems with Ibu because of his fitness. Last season was a turning point. It was the first time ever he'd been fit for us for longer than a fart's end. And it was good.
Yes.
But this season, I mean, even within a badly performing team, he's looked abysmal at times, embarrassing. Who was it? Someone made him look shit, and it was like a really average player. Who was it? I can't remember. But anyway, he's had some mares this season, and if he doesn't sign a new contract, you know what I mean?
Same with Trent. Yeah, I'm not bothered.
Well, since you're talking about center halves and reshaping the future, I'll talk about the man I would like to see join Liverpool and pretty much be the heir to the, you know, holding down the crown for our defensive back line. You'll notice that this episode is a little bit Italian heavy, but Liverpool don't replace legends emotionally. They do it ruthlessly, or they fall behind. Virgil van Dijk is still elite, still commanding, still irreplaceable, in my opinion. But Liverpool knows something fans don't like admitting. The clock always wins, and Father Time is ticking. So that's why this next player, I think, matters, and his name is Alessandro Bastoni. At 26, Bastoni is already one of the best center backs on the planet. Left-sided, calm, dominant defender who thinks 2 passes ahead. He's not just strong; he's intelligent. He's the captain of the team, or sometimes captain of the team, of the inter team. And now intermediaries are quietly letting elite clubs know 2026, the summer of 2026, could be the year that he makes the move from Italy. He has been putting it out there that he's interested in moving on to moving on to new horizons. Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea, Madrid, Bayern Munich, PSG. That's the queue line that have all shown interest in getting this player. But this is the rarest transfer category in football. World-class defender entering his prime before decline, by the way. An Inter will not sell cheap. It'll be 75 million euros at a minimum. But here's the key. Liverpool paid 75 million pounds for Virgil van Dijk. And it changed this club's trajectory for a decade. I don't think this is a gamble. I don't think that it is anything short of an inheritance plan that we could see Bastoni take over and eventually possibly even play in the same back line with Virgil van Dijk currently, whether we go to a back three or even if we were to keep just the two center halves. I know people are like, but he plays left center half. But guess what? Virgil van Dijk initially played right center half. And it would be a nice little transition to be able to just put him on the right side and slot Bastoni in as that left-footed center half. Would you sanction this deal, Malante? Would you sanction this deal if it's possible to bring him in?
Bastoni, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I still think things he needs to work on. I don't know if the defender's perfect. I know it's the final and it was PSG, but he got ripped to shreds. And even against us, he was okay, but it was nothing like I was like, so I'm not quite. Yeah, I agree. No, I'm not quite sure with Bastoni, to be honest.
We had this.
Sorry, go ahead, finish.
Go on.
No, I was going to ask.
We had this discussion when we bought Leone, about not buying Italian. The number of Italian players that have succeeded in England is relatively few, and none of them have been centre-backs. We've had Pistone and Materazzi at centre-back. Neither of them ripped it up. They were both good enough to play for Everton, but neither of them ripped it up. And we were all forwards, and Tonali's done all right. He's the first midfielder. Maybe Lombardo, the right-hand side of midfielder, did okay for Crystal Palace, but there's been so many flops from Italy, mate. And that for me, he's good, Bastoni. I've seen him, I like him, and I like him in his native element and that, playing for his team and that, and you know what I mean. But then you bring him into the Premier League. I'm not sure he could do that type of form in the Premier League because hitherto no Italian defender has. I'm hoping Leone's different, and he is very young still, Leone, but I'd look somewhere else, I think.
Who out there is better than Bastoni? I like Bastoni. I know Brian Anfield Irishman likes Bastoni as well as a player. I know that we don't agree on much, but that was one of the things that we do agree on. We definitely both enjoy Bastoni as a defender, but I get it. Norm is not really about him. Lante's not really bullish on him. Not even Lee is that bullish on him. So then, who out there is a better defender? Who do you rate as a better defender?
I was going to say I'd rather take a gamble on Senesi. Because he's available on a free or some shit. Yeah.
I mean, might as well go for.
In a fantasy football universe, I really like Schlotterbeck. If we could have him, quick, smart, and I like. I like Gay for the future. But even if we brought in two, we need another one. We need three because we need someone to replace Virgil long term. We don't know yet if Leone can grow into that. We're hoping he can in the future, but we need three, mate. So the least we've got to buy in January is one. Two would be sensible. But it's who's available again. But he might have loads. He might have more targets than we know. Sometimes they're looking at players that you're not familiar with, who've been really good in their position. A bit of a trade secret, like, you know what I mean? Because they don't play like in a really fashionable club or something like. We'll have to wait and see. But we need reinforcements. We need to have surgery performed on the centre back position, like. Centre-back roster needs adding to drastically so we can advance, because we're okay at full-back. We've got 2 good choices on each side. We just need those players at centre-back now. So we've got all the attackers we need for now. And so, yeah, that's how I feel about this window anyway.
Okay.
But
so
again,
I didn't get. So you're saying you're saying Slotterbeck is the player that you would prefer to see?
Yes, because he'd adapt easier, I think, to the Premier League than Bastoni was, or there's a better chance anyway, percentage-wise, of him doing so. Slotterbeck.
That's what I was trying to think of. Thiago's
there's all the players performing well at centre-back in the Bundesliga. There always is. Don't forget that's where we got Ibu. Yeah, basically.
Okay. How about for you, Monte? I know that you were trying to chime in.
Yeah, obviously, obviously great. I wouldn't have thought, but you would get through. But there's one guy that I rate over Bastoni. That's William Pacho from PSG.
Okay. From PSG.
Very good defender. Very, very good.
Is there a likelihood that we could get that player though?
No, we ain't getting it. No, that's not ideal word. In terms of the options, yeah, I guess. I mean, Bastoni, Slotterbeck. I think it's just because I just like my defenders to have a little bit of pace about them, I guess so, depending positioning wise. Bastoni, yes. I mean, you're not going to get mad that a Bastoni, Gay, or Slotterbeck, like Lee mentioned, or there's the guy we linked with before, and then he was linked to Paris, Diamonde.
I was just going to mention it. I'm glad you did. Yeah, I mean, for me, usually the best European leagues to look in for centre backs is the Bundesliga and Ligue 1, because there's always a lot of centre backs in Ligue 1, whether they're French players who can't, because there's so many French centre backs, they go up with this, like, other African players like who've come into the French league and are good and are performing well. Portuguese league a little bit less favourable for buying centre halves from, but Diamandi is quite experienced now, and I like his profile. Like, I think he could be good in our team. If we had the rest of the team sorted out, like the midfield was giving the defence adequate protection, like he could be a choice to partner Virgil in Virgil's later years, couldn't he?
Well, that's the thing. That's the uncomfortable truth. Look, Liverpool can't pretend that this decision is going to be an easy one. I know Virgil van Dijk's one of my favorite players, and I think he's a phenomenal captain, and he represents not only Liverpool on and off the pitch very well, but it's an emotional trap you can fall into. It's like succession planning isn't disrespect. It's respect done properly. If you can bring in players and properly, blend them into the team, and then eventually, allow for that player to have his swan song, or his final tip of the cap to say goodbye. I don't think that Virgil's done. I think actually a lot of the reporting on Virgil van Dijk has been pretty I would say scandalous, I guess you could say, in the sense of like, or
a bit harsh, hasn't it? Well,
yeah, it's been a little bit harsh, or it's like I think they're rating him at Virgil van Dijk's level, as opposed to rating him at a center half standard level, and albeit, Virgil van Dijk has set that own bar for himself as being, the king of defense in some people's minds, but
he's the victim of his own success at the moment, with people giving him heat because he's set such high standards, like, and you have to remember sometimes that he is human and that, like, but I just hope we can find the right guy for him for his last, like, 18 months, is it now he's got? We need a regular, settled, good partner for him to get the best out of him in his last years, because he's been, a treasure for us, like, and just needs the right guy alongside him, mate, someone who compliments him. I liked the way Matip complimented him, Joe as well, but I liked the particular blend with Matip. I thought what they were both good at. There was enough differences to make it a nice, efficient partnership. And it was like there was at times when he stayed fifth for a while, Matip, that I really liked us defensively, because my favourite's always when we're doing well defensively. Everyone loves a tight defence. I want us to score goals as well, but I like to see a tight team, you know what I mean? Because you grew up watching one, and then we were so bad in defence for so long. I forgot what it was like to see a good defence until Hippier and Honcho turned up. And I always want a strong defence. So if we can have someone to partner Virgil in his last 18 months to give him the best and us the best, then, all the better. And I hope this is the way they look at it, and there is a concerted effort made to find somebody. We're going to probably have to pay over the odds because people know we need a centre-back, but it's an emergency, mate. This is an emergency. We're down to 2
But that's the thing about it, is that, I definitely think that Slotterbeck's a talent. I think he's a good player. I think that, who else did you say? Well, the PSG player, he's not a possibility. He's
a bit
that's like
world, isn't it?
That's their that ship has come and sailed. There's come and gone. Because he's just 1 year into being at PSG, and he's made a phenomenal stance there. And unfortunately, we could have gotten him. He was like I think he went for something like in the low 30s, 30 million range or something like that was the price that they paid for him, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's exactly. I mean, I think Guéhi is a player that we will get. I think that we will go after this player in the summertime. I don't believe we might offer or tender an offer in January to see if Crystal Palace wants to move off of the player. But I think that ultimately we will wait for the summer. This is me speaking. I'm not ITK. I'm just saying that I just think my gut is saying that we'd wait until the summertime, have to obviously readjust the deal that we offer for Guéhi and go for him then. But and he'll be a substantial upgrade or a substantial enhancement to our defensive options in the back line. But I'm not going to go as far as to say that we're getting some in Guéhi, we're getting some transitional era-defining player that we got in Virgil van Dijk. Am I saying that in Bastoni? Not necessarily, but I certainly think Bastoni could offer you the options to possibly get there, considering he is not just a defender. He does have the ability to pass like Virgil van Dijk. He has the ability to link up and play and actually be a part of the movement of our team going forward. I understand the one. I'll end here. I understand that Bastoni isn't necessarily smiled upon by most or some, simply because his role at Inter makes him, he goes forward a lot. He's maybe even higher up in the pitch a little bit, and against us, I saw that, he was pretty high up in their attack. But at the same time, it's not like he can't play defensively. That's the system calling for him to play those roles. So he has those roles in his toolbox. I'm saying that I think that he could be. I think if he was asked to play defensively, he could play defensively.
The post-Virgil era, which is rapidly approaching, we won't be able to replace him with somebody who's going to come in and be as good as him, because there is another Van Dijk. He's generational, and that just ain't going to happen. We'll have to replace him with 2 players who are well matched, who are good players, and have got a good fitness record. You know what I mean? Because one-on-one, you're just not going to replace Virgil van Dijk. You're not going to find another one unless, like, you know, fate really smiles on you. Like, and I just don't see where this guy is, the new Virgil van Dijk. But as I said, we can do it by the partnership at the back being a good partnership. He's had a few good partners, Virgil. Yet the partnership with Joe was good because they both had that real pace. Joe had a little bit less in the air. Like, I've liked Ibu, but I did like the Matip one. I enjoyed the Matip partnership. And we got him on a free as well, like Matip. So it's just a shame with his injuries again, Matip. You know what I mean? Like Joe, 2 really good centre-backs, but injuries like have held them back. I'm glad Joe's around for another title anyway. There was other players that deserve more than one title, like, you know what I mean, like Mane and that, like. But we need like a real change at centre back, like, don't we?
I think that's because, especially too, I see this Bastoni, and again, this is my opinion. I see Bastoni as an opportunity similar to the one we missed out on with Vardiol. Vardiol was a player. There was more upside in Vardiol in the sense of that he was a Liverpool fan, and he was like, you know, and he had connections to he's a center half, but he could also play left back as well, obviously. So he's versatile. Like, as in, we had some real promise, but yet I had to look. Let me look up how much he cost, actually. I know he was expensive, though.
Oh, he was. And I really wanted him, and I was gutted when we couldn't get him, with him being a Liverpool fan. I'm not sure he's a Liverpool fan anymore, like playing for Man City.
Right.
But yeah, I really wanted him, but he's looked shabby at times. Even before they had their dip, when he first come in, he looked shabby. And he's been done quite easily. The way they play, which means their defenders can be exposed.
78 million basically is what he spent. So he was a little bit more expensive than what we paid for Virgil van Dijk, obviously, and that's why we somewhat, I guess, hesitated on pulling the trigger for the Croatian. But I mean, still, I think he's a talented player, and he's got the ability to score. He's got the ability to link up play. He's got the ability to defend when necessary. But it could be. I think there's a lot of those attributes in Bastoni, and we could, if we hesitate, we could watch another player get scooped up by, you know, Manchester. If Bastoni goes to Manchester City, I think we'll regret it.
I'm going to go with my gut feeling on Bastoni. That is greatness wouldn't transmit to the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? Is what he is there in Serie A. I'm not quite sure, so I prefer another option.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said before about experience, Diamande's got about like 4 seasons experience at the very least now in Portugal. Xhaka, if he's got 2, it's less. But like the number of successful like centre-backs that have come from France, there's been loads of that have been really good in the Premier League, and that's straight away. Like, you know, I can think of tons of French defenders that have come here and done well, like all different types of ones as well. So Xhaka might be worth a go. I know I was moaning before saying I don't want a youthful quote-unquote prospect of a centre-back, but I suppose I would be happy with Xhaka. It's a good name as well, Xhaka. I like saying it. It feels nice to say. That gives 2 Jeremys in the squad, but would differently spell Jeremys.
I think we'd call him JJ.
Yeah. 2 Jeremys in the squad, one with a Y and one with an IE. Perfect.
All right. Well, I think that Scalvini is really talented. I like Scalvini too. Pick up Mtar Mizzi, by the way. Scalvini is a good player. Let me bring up their team, actually. Atalanta. But Scalvini Exactly. Well, you did write that too. I was going to say Scalvini. I was bullish on Scalvini, to tell you the truth, even more so than Bastoni, because I thought that there was a possible chance to bring in Scalvini, an Italian player still, all the same, but a player that, when we played against him, showed some real merit. And I thought that Scalvini would be an excellent player to bring in. However, that knee injury, I think it was a knee injury that he had, really, really made me pause on trying to decide if he was the right player to bring in. He's back. He's playing again, I believe. I think he's past the injury. I think so. I think he's back. I have to double check. I think he's just returning, maybe. But that injury was tough, and he had on again, off again, on again, off again, on again. He had like 3 different bouts of it kind of like he's ready, he's not ready, he's ready, he's not ready. That's the only thing. That's the only thing about Scalvini for me. I think Scalvini's a talent, but I just don't think that. I don't know if he's the option to go with his injury record. It's in the past 12 months, he spent more time injured than he has playing.
There is mystery to it why Italian players haven't fared that well in England. A handful of forwards, one midfielder. We've had a couple of defenders like Materazzi and Bastoni at Everton, but it's just never been a thing. And they never wanted to come here, especially when their league was massive. But even in the time since it fell off, they tend not to come here, Italian players, and there's probably a reason for that.
I'll tell you one reason.
It's a strange one because they're ultra competitive and sus and all that, and they know all the swag, the tactics and that, but it just doesn't happen a lot of the time with Italian players. And I don't want to say that means don't buy them, that it's got to put you off forever. Maybe football's changing. Tonali's been good at Newcastle. But yeah, that puts me off a little bit because you think about where, like I was saying about centre-backs, for instance, loads of good French centre-backs have come, haven't they? Do you know what I mean? Since French become trendy in the aftermath of the 98 World Cup win, there's so many, and there still are to this day. You'll see French centre-backs in the Championship and that, you know what I mean? It goes well usually,
let's have a conversation. Chat definitely join in on this conversation because Lee's bringing up something. I know we spoke on this before we ever went for Leone or any of these Italian players that we ended up getting. There was that whole premise of players from Italy don't tend to transcend to progressiveness or positive progressive play in the Premier League. And you can go as far as to say this player that I'm about to bring up, the player that's on the thumbnail, the player that a lot of us have been clamoring for, the player that unfortunately, hopefully Nolante is able to come back into the panel because I know he was speaking on this player yesterday. And he held off because he knew that we were going to be talking about him more at length today. And that is Federico Chiesa. He can no longer be ignored, Mr. Arne Slot, because there's no longer a philosophical situation that we have to worry about. There's not any difference or any argument to bring up about preference being brought up any longer in this moment. This is solely about availability. Solely about availability. And I'm going to actually make sure that you guys recognize who we are talking about. Let me get my cursor here. Because this player is important. I think that's him looking at the lineup sheet and being like, why is my name not on that lineup sheet yet? But Federico Chiesa hasn't started a Premier League or Champions League match this season. Yet Liverpool are now starring staring at Wolves with Salah at AFCON, with Szoboszlai suspended, Isak injured, Cody is sidelined. Even if you get into the defense, Gomez might not be available, but Endo is certainly unavailable. So what's left? Chiesa isn't knocking on the door anymore. Chiesa should be, in my opinion, doing his Biggie Smalls impression and kicking in the front door. Wave in the 1-4. Okay, you like that? That's his number. Anyway, Lee probably doesn't know that line from Biggie, but it's all good. And I'll tell you again, what's left is this door has fallen off its hinges. Yesterday, Hylor brought up a reference to something that was a weird title to be connected to the player. And why I'm saying that is because he's being treated like a contingency plan. And he's a quality player, absolute professional, talented player. And when we've seen him play, he shows the elements and the essence of what we want from a Liverpool player. But he was called a sub of a sub of a sub. That moment against Tottenham summed it up. He got 9 minutes. He was thrown on because everyone else was either bleeding or untested. This is a European champion, a Euros winner, a player who has already contributed goals, assists, defensive interventions, by the way, goal line clearances, and momentum to this team. And yet he's got one FA Cup performance months ago still hanging around his neck like a verdict of the player, apparently, for this coach. I'm hoping football doesn't carry grudges and cares about available bodies, because Liverpool are running out of available bodies and still watching Chiesa be overlooked from being picked. I'm bringing up Chiesa today, especially, again, this is what I meant by shout out to Lawrence McKenna, and someone that obviously doesn't watch our show, or most likely doesn't. But, Lawrence or Mr. McKenna sometimes doesn't maybe subconsciously recognize or act or consciously recognize it, but subconsciously he does have a tendency to throw some of our beloved players or some players that are cult heroes or players that somehow have an unsung hero type momentum behind them, under the bus a little bit, I would call it, because he's always sometimes shooting strays at certain players, and he's been taking note about Chiesa as of late. No longer is it on his, when he used to be, he would be, and this is what I mean. It used to be he would talk about players, and what I mean by strays. I remember, for instance, last year, or I believe it was last year. Yeah, it was last year. He was analyzing a game, and he brought up Nunez in the analyzation of it, and he talked about how Nunez is this and he's that, and he's not able to do this, and all these different points. Nunez had been played in the game. You're breaking down. He was analyzing a game, and he just decided to throw Nunez out there just to have someone to use as a punching bag. This year, it's become Chiesa who's become his punching bag, because he's under the premise of that the player obviously isn't good enough to play because our coach doesn't play him, or it's because of fitness, or it's because of this, or it's because of that. I'm not an ITK. Lawrence McKenna's not even an ITK, but he's very, very informed. I will admit that. And he's someone that I respect and appreciate. But it is someone's opinion on Chiesa that doesn't match a good number of our opinions on Chiesa. We're not saying Chiesa is going to be the magic, the magic cure for our team by inserting him in the lineup or this or that. It was interesting too, and this is why I'm making the criticism of his comments, and that's because in what he utilized as a defense of saying Chiesa is not the answer, we shouldn't utilize Chiesa, was because he's saying Chiesa can't give us 90 minutes of play. That's why Chiesa can't be a part of our team. If that's the case, do I hear you saying the same thing about Isak when Isak came to our team originally? Do I hear you saying the same thing about Ekitike when he joined our team? It's unique how we tend to pick on saying, oh, it's his fitness and everything else that's connected to the player. He can't give us 90 minutes, so we can't put him on the team. We can't bring him into the team. But yet we're utilizing components or players that can't give us 90 minutes either. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to bring in JK. Hopefully we get Nlante back, like I said, because Nlante really wanted to talk about the Chiesa. He's been really, really, waving the Chiesa flag pretty much since last year, especially certainly this year. And welcome to the show, JK. Hope that you're doing well. Boston prayers go out to your family and everything. And
thanks, bro.
Hi, Jay.
Hi, bro. Hope you all got
it. Hope everything's sound, mate. Hope everything's sound.
Hi to Norman in the chat as well, and Healy, Songs 4K, everyone. I think
nice that little talk we had the other night behind the scenes, us three, wasn't it? Like we all have something in common with our families.
Sure.
For real.
Go ahead,
I agree. Look at Helio's put a top stat in there. 392 divided by 5 is like a goal or an assist every 78 minutes, bro. I don't know what this guy has to do to even get a start. For me, the blessing in disguise is now we've got Wolves next. That is for me at home. Perfect game to play whoever. Even I could probably get a game. And I think
where do you also include where you're going to play him too? By the way, finish your thoughts. But I'm just saying, also tell us where you would play him too.
Look, the thing is with Chiesa back in the days, I always thought Slot's doing it for him to get fit. Chiesa now is ready to go, and Slot's done that in the way he sort of not played him or whatever. And I'm thinking with the season we've had, Chiesa should have got much, much more game time. So Wolves game is a big chance for him to get a start, bro. If he can't get a start against Wolves, he might as well pack his bags in January and find another club if he wants to make that.
Preach. If I was his agent, and we don't see Chiesa start in this Wolves game, with the and I don't know if you heard the injury list I talked about. We don't have Slaz at AFCON. Dominic Szoboszlai is suspended. Isak is injured. Cody's injured. Endo wouldn't play up front, but Endo's not going to be available in the midfield.
No.
Go ahead.
Any news on Wirtz? Is he sound?
Wirtz is going to be able to make a go of it.
Okay, that's cool then. Yeah, I was just a bit worried about him. The Isaac news.
Yeah, the way he pulled up a little lame. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, the Isaac news, until it's official, a lot of guessing games.
Yeah. And the reason why I'm saying
worried about it.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying
worried about it. Yeah.
The Isaac thing, I'm not going over the top worried about it because for me, it ain't official. He's going to be out for this long. A lot of guessing games and stuff like that. I just hope for the best there. For me, the Wirtz set up for him to score was what I've been expecting all season, you know what I mean? And it happened. So happy for it, but I just wish it isn't as serious as they think it is, you know? Hi there, Dara.
Yeah, I'm hoping the same as you are. They're still waiting for the scans to be completed. And also, why I don't think Wirtz is an issue is because Wirtz was interviewed after the game, and he most likely would have addressed, what he's going through if he thought that it was something that was going to keep him out of the upcoming game. So it doesn't look like it's going to impact him.
I think sometimes, I think sometimes when players sort of hold the back of the leg, you think straight away hamstring and that, but sometimes it could be cramp.
It could be a cramp. Yeah, it could be
a
cramp. Yeah, absolutely could be. Look, at the options that I just spoke on, if Frimpong has to play right back, let's say, if we have Wirtz central, if we have Ekitike leading the line, I think, this is just my perspective, I believe Chiesa has to be a start. Not because it's romantic, but because it's a logical substitution of the player. And I think that what we got right now is this is where like the management philosophy meets reality thing, like this coach did a phenomenal job of keeping our lads, our Reds fit last season. And that was the difference maker. For me, that was the contextual difference maker in us being able to win the league. Previous seasons, the year we got third, even the year we got fifth place, we were at this time at Christmas leading the league. But it was the long haul that got the best of us, where injuries started to mount up, and we weren't able to get through to the end of the season. This time around, the injuries are starting to have an actual impact. So that's something that we definitely need to keep in mind. And what with Chiesa, I just think that Arne Slot's come up with like various reasons as to why he's not going to play the player or why he's held off from playing the player. Some have been reasons, notable or understandable reasons. Player's sick or he's unfit. Whether he has preferences, whether it's data points, whether it's training metrics that just justifies his hesitation, that's something that I can't speak on because I'm not on the training pitch to be able to sit there and pick his brain. But I'm just trying to get across that I think that Chiesa is. I just think that Chiesa deserves this start.
I do. I think he's worthy of more minutes, if not a start, many more minutes. He's coming on far too late in games for me. And you wonder just why that is sometimes, because how many games has he come into where he's done the business and affected it and got us back in a game? We know he's capable of that. And even if we're already in front in a game, what's the harm in having some extra danger on late in the game to try and break and get a goal to kill teams off? I mean, I'm a fan. I like him. I like his character and that. He seems like a great bloke. I'd like to see him used a little bit more, not loads. And we all know he won't be here next season. But he could do with more minutes for me. He's shown enough when he's come in as a sub to deserve more minutes as a sub.
Okay.
What do you reckon? Because I mean, the minutes he's been getting, it's been dead stingy, hasn't it?
Yeah.
5 minutes here, 5 minutes there.
Like for me, Brian as well in the chat. I just feel, when you've got a winning team, there's no need to change it, isn't it? But you've seen our results this season, how many games we've lost. You think this manager's going to think, you know what? Time's for Chiesa to show what he's got, see if he can save my job. And still he didn't do it. So I don't know, man. Look, I'm not Slot's biggest fan, but for me, when you're a manager of a big club like Liverpool, first things first is that player-manager relationship is the most important thing. And you've seen it with Salah, maybe even Virgil undercover, not probably getting on with Slot, Chiesa. You don't want that in your squad. I just don't know what the Chiesa situation is with Slot. Talent-wise, Chiesa's big. Like, he's going to give 100%. And I'm actually pretty, I wouldn't say surprised. Well, you could say surprised, actually, with the work rate he has the shows. I didn't expect that from him. Come on, none of us did. And so when you see him, you're like, wow, that's desire, bro. You know? Yeah.
We all know Chiesa, he struggled badly with injury. He was like absolutely dynamite when he appeared in that, and then he got a bad injury and was out for ages. We all know that, but that's not a sufficient reason for me to not even bother trying to see what he's capable of for longer periods in a game, for like a full half, you know, or even longer sometimes, like to see what he's made of. And the better the team around him's playing, like the more we'll get from him. I've liked having him, like, because he's our first. But we had he is our first successful bloody Italian, isn't he? Because the others weren't that good to say, you know. And
he's won games for us.
Yeah. I like him. I actually like the Italians. I'm a fan of like the Italians. The 1985 thing notwithstanding, I really like the Italians. I liked his interview where they found out he's got a dog called Marlon Brando, and he said, "Oh, you're a big Marlon Brando fan?" And he said, "No, I'm not a Marlon Brando fan at all, actually." It was just quite funny that, like.
What about the Sunderland game? Yeah, exactly, Song. Okay, that Sunderland game, the way he saved Slot's job. Let's put the
absolutely. Absolutely.
Like for me,
that clearance off the line. That clearance off the line was the
come into the office after the game and have a drink with me sort of moment. You know what I mean, bro? That was for me. Like, what does that guy need to do now? If I was Chiesa and he's not, like, for me, I think Chiesa loves the club and he wants to play for Liverpool. And I would be looking for a move this January if I was Chiesa. And that hurts me saying that. Because you got, like, I think Gattuso wants him to play for Italy. Gattuso is the manager of Italy, yeah? Yeah. And I've heard that he sort of invited him over and Chiesa's sort of turned him down, saying he's not ready or whatever. Yeah. Look, we've got a lot of games coming up now. Chiesa has to be involved. Look,
do you know what I liked? I like
Salah's not there. Isaac's not there. There you go.
Yeah.
I like that. Oh, sorry, Joe.
No, I was going to say what you saying.
I liked that he was made up to get on for that short bit against Real Madrid. He only come on for a few bloody minutes, but you could see he was made up. You could see him on the touchline when we scored, like, going mental before he'd even got on the pitch. He was dying to get on, and it was great. It was made up for him. Like, I've taken a liking to him now, and the song and all that, and the stories about him being a bit of an insomniac, that he was struggling with sleep and something, like. So that was like, it was a novel one for a footballer to say that. But look, he's been, as we know, he's struggled with injuries and that, like, and I suppose your routine's shot to hell then, but that's no reason to not give him a little bit more of a try. He's good enough, I think, to be given more minutes. Maybe not a start, but, you know, more minutes.
Yeah, it's the
question what's behind that motivation-wise from Slot, because clearly it isn't his fitness at this point. His fitness looks good to me at this point. To play more minutes, like to come on for a full half or for half an hour rather than 5 poxy minutes.
Yeah, it's even that is a stretch for Cody to get back, by the way. And that's the thing, is that we always talk about sliding doors, you know, like, you know, the opportunity that they call it sliding doors in the sense of you have an sometimes there is a door opens and there's an opportunity for you to take full advantage of your circumstances. And what do you make of it? Do you step forward into that doorway, or do you hesitate and maybe let that opportunity pass you by? and it's a real question of what it is for Chiesa. I think even having said that, this sliding door is just that. It's a door that is still not open unless Slot allows for it to be opportunity for Chiesa to play. The bottom line is, does Slot get over himself in essence, what did he do? He stole Slot's cappuccino in the Starbucks. I guess maybe he has. But I mean, it's a matter of what is going to be this decision maker for him. And again, it doesn't have to be that you expect or the only way that Chiesa plays is if you get 90 minutes out of him. That can't be what you hold as being the only presence of whether he gets to play or doesn't get to play.
Thing is, I can even imagine he don't even start against Wolves because Szoboszlai isn't playing. Okay, who we got to cover him? Who we got to cover Szoboszlai, bro, in that lineup?
If he were to play Trainioni, is that what you're saying?
No, because I'm just saying, look, Isaac didn't start the last game. He came on a sub. So it was Ekatike with Wirtz, McAllister. McAllister will be playing, Gravenberch will be playing. Wirtz more likely will be playing. So realistically, it's only Szoboszlai Chiesa can replace in that team. When you think about it, because Isaac didn't start that game, he came on a sub. And McAllister, Gravenberch. Yeah.
I'll tell you real quick. The lineup, I think, and again, we'll probably see Kirkes play, but I wouldn't mind seeing Robbo play. But I'm giving I'll give a preview episode. We're still early in the week, but preview, like a too early preview of what we have available for us. If I was going my 11, I'd go obviously Ali, Bradley. I go Ibu, Virgil, Robbo. Even though Kirkes will get the start, I think I would prefer to see Robbo since we haven't seen Robbo in a hot minute. But give Robbo or Kirkes the start. Okay, Jones, Grav, McAllister in the midfield, and then have a front line of. I wouldn't mind seeing it if you're not going to even push the width that way you want to push it. Do something where it's like a 4-3-2-1 if we're not going to go for 4-4-2, and play it as Wirtz and Chiesa playing the 2-10 roles, and then put Ekatike as your sole striker, or even have maybe Ekatike as a striker and have Chiesa as a shadow striker, and have Wirtz as your 10, having the freedom to go right or left on the pitch. That's just what that's what I would like to see. Preference. What would you like to see, JK?
That's the question.
You can put your answers. You can put the answers that you want to see in the chat as well, by the way, and I'll include them in the conversation.
Like, I would even go. I'll probably play Frimpong at right back against Wolves, because Wolves, they've accumulated 2 points all season. So that means even Norman, me, you, Lee could start that game and get a result. So I'm going, you know what? That's a good game for Slot to have, considering who else we could be playing that game, you know? It could have been Newcastle and Man City away sort of game, you know? We've got Wolves, bottom of the league, at home, at Anfield. So I'm going Frimpong, I'm going Chiesa, I'm going Ekatike, Wirtz, of course. But for me, Frimpong and Chiesa definitely have to start that game. And Robertson. I'd go Robertson. Robertson's had a good little rest now. Kirkes has started a lot of games recently. And fair play to Kirkes. He gives 100%. You can see it. Look at Kirkes is the way he fights, the way he don't bottle any tackles. He gives 100%. And I think because it's Wolves, he could say to, hey, Kirkes, take a rest. Let Robertson have this one. So for me, I want to see Robertson, Frimpong, and Chiesa in that Wolves game.
Okay. But what about the front line? What about the midfield and front line? Like, how are you structuring your formation and bringing in players?
Curtis, McAllister, Gravenberch.
Okay.
And then go with the Chiesa, Wirtz, Ekatike up top. You can either play Chiesa on the right.
Yeah. Chiesa on the right. Okay.
Chiesa right, Wirtz left, Ekatike up top. Play Jones, McAllister, and Gravenberch in the midfield. Yeah.
I don't know what that means by blob. I don't know what that means. But did you want to offer something? Did you want to offer anything, Lee, to that? At least tell us who the front line is if you wanted to do.
Yeah, there's a pub in town called the Blob Shop, which is all right. You can get cheap drinks in there of a daytime in the Blob Shop. It's not a bad haunt. I used to go there.
Maybe that's like one of your lads.
Quarter of a century ago now that the Blob Shop was a bit of a haunt in Liverpool city centre. On the subject of the team, I have the same idea that we need to keep it with the four midfielders. We've improved of late and looked a little bit more solid, and that's because we've been playing four midfielders and we haven't got much of a choice. You know what I mean? If Wirtz is fit, we play him, Jones, McAllister, Gravenberch, and we use Ekatike and Chiesa as our two forwards. The alternative is Rio or playing Frimpong further forward. But Soberslai's injured, so who's going to play right back? It's a tough one, but I want Frimpong at right back because we haven't got a right back.
I think it's the best thing in disguise that Szoboszlai got that yellow and he's got a chance to rest.
Yeah.
Because it's the Wolves game of all games, one that we should easily win. But as shit as they've been, I still want us to carry on as we've been with four midfielders and two forwards.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying, Lee. I would be willing to leave that four in midfield and play three up top because it's Wolves at home. It's a perfect game to sort of, leave Szoboszlai out the team because he's got booked and go with the three up top, yeah.
Okay. Before we move off of the Chiesa subject, we got Malante back. I don't know, big up Malante. I don't know if you were listening in or not. We definitely spoke at length about Chiesa, about the need for Chiesa to get some minutes, the kind of possible, some might call it disrespect or maybe some negligence of the coach in utilizing Chiesa, where in moments that some people think that he should be utilized. We kind of set aside the fact that people have utilized that comment. Oh, well, he can't give us 90 minutes. But then again, we've watched players on this team work their way back towards fitness by getting starts, if not getting at least minutes in games, significant minutes in games. So that's not necessarily that doesn't necessarily hold true to every player on this team. What's your viewpoint on Chiesa? Do you want to say whether you think he, if Chiesa does, how about if Chiesa doesn't start against Wolves, what message does this send to the squad? Basically, is what we're trying to ask.
Well, big up JK. Obviously, just cut out, but yeah, big up JK as always. You know, and in the words of me, JK, Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy.
Lord have mercy.
It's a good one, isn't it? Or the mercy, like it's just like
Exactly. That's it, man. That's the catchphrase. Go, come and chat all together. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, right.
Lord of Mercy. Lord of Mercy has been the original comment since time.
That's all that. Look, man, I call this. Look, I'll start from the beginning. And look, when we signed Chiesa, £10 million, no brainer. No brainer. You know what I mean? I mean, yes, he had his, injury, stuff like that. But yeah, it was a no-brainer. And I was happy. I thought he'd be used. And then sort of said about fitness, so I heard. So fine. You didn't have preseason like Isak. You get him up to speed, but I'm sorry. As much as Chiesa, he said he's fit, yes, probably, but from start of this year, he was fit to play. Yeah. I know. And all of a sudden, the Plymouth game, and yes, he wasn't the best, but I think a lot of the players weren't great that day, And ever since that Plymouth game, he's just never got the chance. He's come on games, he's made contributions. In January, he was fit. And, Mo Salah's record deals with everyone like Bernie, everyone's saying, no, don't play. Don't rest Mo. Let him play. But we didn't need to play Mo in every game. And it only happened when we wanted. We didn't need to. Southampton, I don't want to be bored to have Southampton, Tottenham. There was other games that we could have just put Mo on the bench, start Chiesa. He's fit to be, and he didn't. PSG, we had no peep. Newcastle last minute, and look what happened. So this has been going on since then, and you think, he's doing this. Slot says, we come to the start of the season, he's fitter than he's ever been. I'm happy with him. He's going to stay. You're thinking, all right, you know what? He's going to use him more, and yeah, he's getting the odd sub. The sub, he's getting more game. He's getting more time in terms of subs, but he's not. What was the games he started? League Cup, and look what happened in the Southampton game. Palace, the Palace game, League Cup, he's one of a few players that came out of credit. You're putting him up the middle. He's not a centre forward, but he still tries. So I don't know what this guy has to do. Like I said, I don't know what this guy has to do, man. Like I said, he might have to live a flex. Said, "I love you, Arnie."
Sing la 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 la.
Please, Mr. Slot.
He needs to buy him a few Christmas presents, man.
Exactly, JK, innit? So it's just getting ridiculous now. And I said it, and people were telling me, like I said, a squad is, and again, all of you football men, what is a squad? A squad is a 23-man squad. It's not a 40-man squad. It's not a 60-man squad. It's a 23-man squad. You use the players to the best of abilities. You don't need to play certain players all the time. And now look, it's still the same, and it's getting ridiculous. We've got injuries. He's still not getting a sniff. The odd 5-minute hit. I mean, come on, man, you're disrespecting him.
What minute did he come on against the Tottenham game? Do you remember, bro?
It's probably about 90th, I think.
No, yeah, he got in. He only played 9 minutes, actually. I think.
Yeah, or 85th. It was horrible, man.
What?
Yeah.
He has only been coming on for really short periods. I mean, I've seen no evidence so far, especially not of late, that he's.
He got in at the 90th minute. So
that's what I'm saying. It's a joke.
I've seen no evidence that he's incapable.
And on top of that, not to cut across you, Lee. I was just gonna say, I just want to bring clarity. And his him being brought on was because of Frimpong.
Yeah.
So because of how Frimpong, reacted, I should say.
Yeah, or the injury to the mouth.
What did you think about that quickly? About Frimpong coming on and coming off?
Well, that's the thing about it. That's why he was a sub of a sub of a sub. In essence, because Frimpong was subbed on for Bradley, and then he got subbed on. The only reason why he got subbed on was because he was the third choice to be subbed on from that chain. And that's ridiculous.
Like for Gary, Gary Neville was commentating in that game, and he was like, Frimpong's sort of lost his head and this and that.
Yeah, and that's I understand why he was angry. We're going to get into that. I just noticed that we're an hour and 30 minutes in, so I'll make sure that we can get through some of these.
Can I just say, 12,
go ahead.
On the subject of Frimpong, I thought he was just settling into it and getting his, you know what I mean, getting into it. When that happened with Richarlison, because when he first come on, he went for a run to the line, had a bad touch, knocked it too far. You could see he was pissed off. Then he got about it, and created the goal, and he was offering another danger and that, and then that just totally unbalanced him and blew his mind when Richarlison knob did that to him. I mean, Richarlison, he's a 24-carat dickhead, and he always has been, and he loves it against us. He's right up for it against us. It was so funny when we realised at Anfield, but we scored late to win. I think it was Diogo, God bless him, who got the winner. But remember him in front of the
when the pigeon took his kid off, took his kid off and started doing his pigeon dance.
Yeah, he started pushing Ekatike, didn't he, in that goal?
Yeah. All right. So before we even go there, let me just do this, because that's the last segment I have for the show. We're gonna talk about that at length. Trust me, because I have graphics and everything. But let me just give this. Let me give the breaking news that the Irishman brought up earlier, and that is the breaking news update, and it's significant, is that Liverpool striker Alexander Isak has undergone successful surgery on a fractured fibula. It was the one, obviously, that he got in the game. The club has confirmed the operation is going well, but crucially, let me say this is the crucial moment, or crucial point, is that no official timeline has been given as a return. So Liverpool have refused to place any time frame on his return. In an official statement, Liverpool said Isak's rehabilitation will now continue at the AXA Training Center with no time frame yet placed on his return. Now, I know obviously that translates to, hey, we're not trying to rush this player back, blah, blah, blah. But initially, bone healing for a fibula. I wish we had Chris on the show, but Chris Angel. But I'll give you at least what I've read and what was been speculated. And that is initial bone healing for a fibular fracture is typically 6 to 8 weeks. Medical guidance for a return to full contact elite football paints a far more concerning picture, because most specialists point to a 3 to possibly even a 6-month timeline before a player can safely return at Premier League intensity. The timeline puts the remainder of Isak's season obviously firmly in doubt. It also places his involvement in Sweden's World Cup playoff off the books, which is fixtures in March, which he probably won't be able to make. Possibly. You never know. I mean, January, February, that's 2 months. It would be pushing it if once we get into that March month that he has to go. But this is no longer a wait and see injury. This is now a prolonged absence for the player. Just want to make sure we got that intro or that update into the stratosphere.
I've heard so much nonsense over. Oh, he's broke his leg, and this and that, and he's
ACL.
And this is what I'm saying about the internet.
I know. That's why, shout out to the streets, but even the streets gets it wrong. I mean, the streets was early. Streets came in early. He was dropping MCL 9 months. I was like, dang. I'm like, okay.
Unless he was just trying to point out the worst of the situation, what it could be. You know what I mean? Could be this, could be that. That's why I always say I always wait for confirmation of a situation. And after hearing that, okay, so let's go 3 months. That's March. A lot of games left. If he's back in March, I'll be happy with that, of course, but it could have been worse, bro. Because I seen that tackle, bro, and that was bad.
Yeah. Well, initially, everyone goes to he never grabbed for his knee. First off, so that's why I was like, I don't think it's a knee injury. I mean, he went for his lower leg when he went to to show where the pain was. But just like Ankle Irishman says here, it's much better than an ACL, and that is just the truth. I mean, like it is much better than some like cruciate ligament tear or sprain or whatever. Those things take enormous amounts of time to get back. Broken leg, it'll heal. And he'll be back.
Best case scenario would be we'd see him like in late March, early April, and even then he'd just be getting himself fit. So really, he's going to be next season. Do you know what I mean? So to all intents and purposes, he has ended this season. Even if we see him again late on, I seen Tim Sherwood. I looked at something and he was talking. He used to play for Spurs, and he said, Van der Ven to make that time. He didn't mean to hurt me.
Okay. Don't go there yet. Don't go there. It
was a terrible impression of Tim Sherwood because I don't even think he's from London, but this is what he said anyway.
No, I get that. Look, yesterday we spoke on stuff, and we're gonna get to that. That's I even knocked out one of the segments so that we can get there even earlier. So make sure we have time for it. But I just wanted to revert to yesterday's episodes. And Lante and myself on the episode, and we were referencing some of the content creators out there that were trying to basically, paint a pretty picture. I think that's the better way to propose it. Paint a pretty picture about Liverpool and how, we're winning again and everything else. That's fantastic. And I'm not saying that that's not positive. Me, often I'm labeled as Mr. Positive or Mr. Too Positive sometimes when it comes to Liverpool football and my romanticism of the game and of this team. But Liverpool won at Tottenham, 3 wins on the bounce, 6 unbeaten, and yet the tone is cold. Lost their heads, not convincing, owed a lot to Alisson. And that is fair assessment by what I've read in some of the articles that were the titles that were going with the win. And that's what I was just only pointing out was my criticism of some of the online perceptions of the game was people are like, his name's he's part of Unconfirmed or something. I'll have to get the name of his show right. But he, on some of these channels, they were like talking back, we're back, or this is how it's done, and stuff like and I'm sitting there, I'm like, was that like a overwhelmingly convincing performance by our team or something, and I missed out on it? Did we go on? Did we look incredibly well tuned in that first half? And I must have missed it when I got up to go to the refrigerator or something, because I didn't see it that way. Was it not the same team that I saw kind of get really tense towards the end and remind me of the Newcastle match where we're playing against 10 and at 1.9 men Spurs, and we looked like we were the players or the team that was undermanned? Because that's what I'm trying to get across, or that's what really triggered me to respond to a lot of these overwhelmingly positive as if there was one cracks.
Yeah, for me, in the aftermath of sort of my appraisal of the game, in the aftermath straight after it happened, was made up to get the win that we held out in that, but it was embarrassing at the end when we were under the cosh by 9 men. 9 men had us pinned in our own box, mate, and it was like, but up until they scored, I was reasonably pleased. Yeah, the first half was crap, but then when we set about it, after Simmons had been sent off, we did what it looked like. What we needed to do, got 2 in front, and then that goal, which was just a crummy goal, it was horrible, but the whole team lost it collectively. They're cool, and we just flapped, and 9 men had us under the cosh at the end, and it was an embarrassment, but I'll hang on to the fact that we got out of there with a win, and then we can hopefully add to that. We've had 3 wins in a row now. If we can make it 5, that'd be great. And I feel like we do owe Leeds one for that 3-3. if we don't mess up defensively.
Oh yeah.
Richard,
I want to see a score. I want to see us put like what we've been normally scoring against Leeds. I want to see us score 5-6 goals against Leeds when we have them at the end.
I want us to get our revenge there.
That's not happening in the
thrashing.
I know.
I mean, it can, but it's a different question. Yeah, I think that's
I think I only remember the Frankfurt game where we've scored loads of goals. Who else we done it against?
Oh, 5, yeah, the 5 in it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Scored 3s. I'm sure we've got a 4.
In the last 10 games, we've only scored 3 goals in one of them, and that was the Leeds game.
But we conceded 3 as well, so that's a point there.
Exactly.
But what I don't think about Slot, what I realise is that he likes to gamble in that way where when you're 2-0 up and it's 80 minutes, if you get the 3rd, that's good night Vienna. But if they get the 1, that's 10, 50, that's another, with injury time nowadays, that's 20 minutes you got to get an equaliser and get a point. And Slot doesn't kill games off. And that is probably his downfall. When his team are 2-0 up, he's thinking, you know what, our goal difference isn't great this season. I want another 2 goals, lads. It don't happen. And what happens? We have that messy end of that Tottenham game where realistically, Richarlison could have got that second goal when he was put through by Curtis Jones, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And why we're Liverpool, we shouldn't be playing them sort of gamble football like that.
But I would say I'll counter that, JK. I say that I don't think that's down to Slot because I saw him in the touchline. He's visibly frustrated once, and he said as much in the press conference that we didn't play well. So obviously he didn't elaborate, but I think he was probably frustrated the way Liverpool did. But I think that was on the players, to be honest, because really and truly, as much as again, when I look at it, really and truly, as much as we nearly bottled it at the end, I mean Tottenham weren't great either. That's what people think. That first stuff was a nothing. And then when we were 2-0 up, we took control of the game, and then for whatever reason, when Richarlison scored, we went all squeaky bum time. And every player started panicking. Jones wasn't holding that. I saw, and again, McAllister, I mean, he needs to be dropped. I don't care who comes in. I really don't care who comes in. When we're 9 men, him and Jones, the twice that we had the ball, we could have counted a 3-on-2, or we could have seen the game. They both lost the ball. They lost the ball. That's a problem. We're second to every second ball. We're second to it. We're sloppy. It's like amateur. Even the first goal, we shouldn't be conceding that.
Never.
A team of us, we should be conceding. Last season, we were conceding the gap. And you're like, yeah, like you said, that was the issue. And I don't think that's a Slot tactic. I think that's on the players. And that's the thing. And, true. I've said this time and time and again. And Slot deserves criticism rightly. But I think some fans and some of the online merchants who don't understand the game, and I'm trying to be active, but I'm getting a bit fed up and bored. And somebody, I can't say this. No, you just common sense. Football is not. It's not rocket science. It's not maths. And people are trying to do 2 + 2 coming up with 5. If I'm a DM, then you intercept the ball. You read the game. Yeah, the coach helps you to instruct you where to play, but like I swear, some of these online fans act like these players are babies. They've got diapers in their hands. Yeah. They've got a dummy like Goo Goo Gaga. Yeah. We need to feed the players. Oh, poor players. It's the coach. It's the coach. They're adults. Let me forget. The majority of them are over 21. Hello, they're professional footballers at the highest level. If you can't have simple game intelligence, then what are you doing? To read the game, to win second balls, to play a pass on the left. I keep saying this. But online fans are so blinded, their hatred for Slot, and that fine, no problem. They can't read the game logically.
Yeah, everyone. But wait, can I? Yeah, I was gonna say, I would push back to say I agree 90% of what you said, but I would also say that Slot has to put them in positions to perform well. Playing,
but the thing is, about 12.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're saying I get that, but probably he does. But people automatically assume he wants to do the set. But on the touchline again, come out. I saw a guy who was getting frustrated with the players not probably adhering to instructions. Like I said, he can only do so much. But if he's saying, you know what, you make sure you come forward, don't go too deep, and the players resort to that, is that on the manager or is that on the players?
It's on the players,
well, if the manager emphasizes that, for instance, if the manager emphasizes, unlike we know Jurgen Klopp's philosophy of football, and we saw how it was all about intensity, it's all about pressing and all the likes, right? But yet, if the manager tells this team, look, for instance, there was one of those times when Endo could have passed the ball into Nunez at the time. I think it was against Fulham, I want to say, but it could have been an entry pass into Nunez, right? But rather than pass the ball into the actual pathway of Nunez, who made the run, he decided to recycle the ball. How often do you see our team recycle the ball instead of being an aggressive, more trying to get, taking chances with the passes and the likes? I'm not saying that they can't make those passes, I'm not trying to differentiate whether they can or can't. I believe they can. And that's probably sometimes the more frustrating part for me, is that I know they can make the pass, but it's like maybe this coach is telling them, make sure to have control of the ball, possession, and the likes is the priority of the strategy. And therefore, you see things where, go on a run, take the ball, go into the box, try to create some chaos, and rather than do so, he's giving a quick, pass to VVD and it's back to Ali, and then we're starting all over. That's where that's the coach, in my opinion, giving directions to his team that's the way he wants them to play. That's at least my perception.
No, I agree that like only a small percentage of that is on Slot, that we fell apart, after they scored, because it's happened once too many times, mate.
I agree with that too, though. Yes.
Where we concede and then we fall apart, and we're likely to concede again really quickly, even if we're playing against 10 men or even 9. So some of it's on the manager, but in that Spurs game particularly, I felt that came from the players. They just dropped off. They didn't make the right decisions, did they? And it was embarrassing at the end. I was made up. We grounded out and got a win, but it was embarrassing at the end, mate. And a lot of that was on the players, you know what I mean? There was enough, experienced players on the pitch to do the right thing. They must know how to, get a play for time and that, but we just forgot how to do it inexplicably, and we were in hot water quickly to 9 men, time and again.
It's not, and again, I'll let JK get his point in, but I was just going to say, I'm not disputing that your point is spot on. It does, the players need accountability. It's not like the players don't know how to play the game. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am just saying is that sometimes it gets down to some of the strategy being utilized might limit or put some limitations on their ability to be creative with it. And then, the last point is just a Songs for Case talking about how the midfield, VVD complained about midfield being sloppy in possession after Palace and Galatasaray. That falls on the players. Ultimately, Slot can try to put you in positions of success or ability to succeed, but ultimately it comes down to the players actively acting on that opportunity, and that's where I agree with you. What you
remember Man City last season after Rodri got injured, and that kept happening to them, where they get in front by a few goals. And against some fairly standard teams, and then they'd score once the other team.
That's mentality. Yeah, that's a mentality thing. It's a mentality thing. Yeah.
Well, we've gone from mentality monsters to mentality midgets.
I know you're going to say that.
No offense to small
mentality little people.
All in that,
mentality little people, I guess.
Mentality monsters have turned into not monsters at all. No, what is the opposite of a monster? I don't know. A teddy bear or something, a rabbit.
Yeah, there's something that some people will probably use, and it won't be too nice to utilize. But I think what Milante says does have a lot of merit. I understand why he's getting frustrated with some of the analysis that's being used. I can understand that.
And I agree with Milante as well, bro, because I think you can't blame Slot for their goal. The Richarlison goal. That was Kanate and Virgil doing that side thing of defending, not putting their body straight in front of the player, doing that side defending. So you can't blame Slot for that at all. But what you can blame Slot for is the tempo we're starting games off with, what gear we start game. That's the only thing I blame Slot for, is what gears we dictate the game with. It's a bit too slow for me. Yeah.
JK, could I ask you this question then? You can't blame Slot for that. I understand what you're saying. But at the same time, I know that some coaches, if a player did that, would not be would have an earful from the coach to the point where they would not make that mistake again. As in that kind of play or them utilizing that tactic wouldn't be utilized any longer. You get what I'm saying? If the coach allows it and it's just like, shrugs it off, like, that happens. That's just Verge being Verge. That's Ebu being Ebu. And is accepting, or that kind of performance is acceptable in a way, in one way or another, or tolerated. Let's not say acceptable, say tolerated. Then that's on the coach a little bit too, in my opinion. Coach has got to be more like, he's got to demand more from his players, I think, and they got to demand more from themselves though as well. The buck stops with the players, and in that part I'll agree. And this is all
the thing is, the players don't get sacked, bro. The manager does.
Yeah, the manager does. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. You know what? I'll ask a question to the chat. We still got a decent number. I know it's a late hour and it's late in the evening for a lot of you. So we've played 25 games overall competitions, right? How many times do you think we scored over 2 goals in 25 games? How many times do you think we've scored over 2 goals in 25 games played?
11.
So far this year.
No, 10.
No, I said how many?
10.
Okay, that's your guess. You want to take a? You can guess in the chat too.
That might be a bit on the high side. That starts it now. I'll go for 10.
You go for 10. All right.
I'll go with about 12. Yeah.
12. You're even higher. Okay. How many you think, Malate? 25 games played. How many times have we scored over 2 goals?
About 5.
Well done, Malate.
Go on, bro. That's
5 games.
Man. That's bad.
Whoa.
5 games. All this offensive scoring power. We get the two of the best Premier League strikers in the league, or currently in the league right now. We have Mohamed Salah. We have Cody. We have Chiesa. We have all these high power, high octane, scoring talents on our team. 5 times.
5 times, mate. I was way off with that guess. I had double that at 10. But it's been a bit of a worry, hasn't it? It's a strange one. But Wolves and Leeds, the team that we could score a few goals against, though, if we can get it together. We usually score quite a few goals against Leeds. The only time I can remember us not getting a few times against them, was when Rio was playing for them. Then when he moved, But I've always liked Leeds, a good traditional club with good standing. There's that thing going back to when they won the title at Anfield and the Cops sang champions, and there was always a bit of respect based on that. And that Leeds team they're good. I was talking to my dad about it yesterday because that Archie Gray for Spurs. He was on I was watching the match and my dad's, and I said he's one of the Gray family, from Leeds. And my dad was talking about Eddie Gray, the winger, who was dead good, and Peter Lorimer. But it was a dead good side and nearly won the European Cup. But they weren't even in the first division when I was a kid. You know what I mean? My sticker book and sticker album and all that. They weren't in it. And then didn't feature until I was I don't know, in my 20s or some shit. Or my early teens. No, me mid-teens or something, they coming back into the league, Leeds.
I'll give you one better stat in a sense too, or at least up the stats that we're listening to here. But the 5 games that we scored over 2 goals. We scored over 2 goals in 5 games. 3 of those games came in the first month of us playing. Basically, our first 2 games we scored over 2 goals, and then our next game was Atletico Madrid that we scored over 2 goals, where we won 3-2. We haven't scored over 2 goals since the only game that we scored over 2 goals and won since the beginning of the season has been Frankfurt, where we played that 4-4-2 diamond thing. Other than that, we scored 1 time. That was Leeds for a 3-3 draw. Look, this is why I'm saying 6 unbeaten and is not nothing to scoff at. It's good. I'm not saying it's not positive. That's momentum. Momentum matters. Points matter. Survival periods matter. All that jazz. But here's where I part company with some of my fellow content creators in that being unbeaten does not automatically mean the football is good again. Results can mask issues. It did for a lot of us in the beginning of the season. Confidence can hide fragility, and winning while structurally unstable is not the same as being stable. Liverpool didn't control the game against Tottenham from minute 1 to minute 100. We endured them. They didn't dominate with authority. We leaned on experience. We leaned, and I'll stress this, we leaned on Ali. We are fortunate to have the best goalkeeper in the world. And that's fine. I'm saying that's for now. That's fine. Wins are wins. Draws are draws. I get that, But let's not rewrite reality because the table looks kinder than it did 3 weeks ago. Slot system is still being stress tested, I think. And the press still breaks at awkward moments. There's game management that we have to worry about because it's because some of this game management is still reactive rather than commanding. Again, shout out to Ali. He's one of the cornerstones to our team, and he's one of the difference makers in our team when he's in between the pipes. And until Liverpool starts closing games of composure instead of relief, or I think it's premature to declare anything fixed. We have a lot of work to get this team back, and the injuries don't help. Obviously dealing with suspensions are going to happen. Injuries are going to happen. I understand that, but hope is allowed. But I'm just saying I don't want to get too delusional with it and thinking that we're back and this is all, and this is all well and good and this is how we do things, because it's not. It's really not. In my opinion, it's not. I'm not saying that's the opinion of the panel. I'm just saying that's in my opinion. It is not. But let's get into something that the panel did want to talk about. I had to stop Lee 3 times throughout this episode before he went into talking about it. And that is referees. Reds, referees, and Richarlison. The 3 R's. That's what we're going to go with, right? And we had 2 red cards, both deserved. But there was an article I read. It was it had the former PGMOL. I think he was the head of PGMOL, by the way, but he's at least official with the PGMOL. Keith Hackett said there should have been 3 in this game, and I agree with that. He was referencing just this. So let me bring up this graphic here for you. He was referencing this right here from the pigeon. Richarlison's hand on Ekitike's neck was missed, was ignored, and forgotten. And that is a travesty.
And you could rightfully include Van der Ven, because I believe the scissoring action at the end of the tackle was intended to get Isak off the pitch, and it did that. Like I said, Tim Sherwood was going on saying he had to make the tackle, and I agree, he had to try and do something. But the scissoring motion towards the end and his weight going on Isak was intended, from my point of view. He'd already studded him in the thigh and got away with anything for it. And their players were just sad. I don't know how much of that came from Thomas Frank, probably not too much, but they seemed to lose their head. But we were on the receiving end of some bad ones. And I didn't like our cards. I thought Ibu's card was dog shit and undeserved. Like, it was a bit silly, but it was a nothing foul, mate. And it was like a card for that. And then to hear that Szoboszlai been carded after Pigeon done that to Ekatike. Do you know what I mean? It's just... the ref lost his bottle after he carded Simmons and wanted to appear, in control. Just do you know what I mean? He just didn't want to send off another guy. He had to with Romero because he did it right in front of him, and that bit was funny. But they lost their head Spurs, and it's cost us, mate. Isak, you won't see Isak properly till next season now. Even if he comes back at the end of the season, he'll be half fit. So, do you know what I'm saying? We didn't get out of there. Didn't Bradley get injured? Yeah, Bradley started, didn't he? And he got bloody injured.
Bradley left with a knock, yeah. But I mean, like, look, Sebastian got booked for reacting, and he's now going to miss the Wolves game, obviously. A little bit of imbalance. You spoke about the possibly poor call against Ibu, a soft yellow, at least for Ibu. But this seems to be Liverpool's reality more times than not lately. And I'm not trying to, again, start conspiracies, but there are patterns here. I'll ask Nolante and JK, actually. Do referees subconsciously manage Liverpool differently, do you think? Or is this just the cost of being champions and, them trying to maybe, make it seem like they're not being overtly in our favor?
Go on, Andy.
JK, you go first.
Yeah, well, for me, this ref, it was the first ref I thought, he seems to be on our side because he was giving everything to us. Their fans said they were whistling at him and everything. And I think it was the first time I've seen the ref. Saw a little bit on our side, gave the red card. So I didn't feel, but what it was, I think Thomas Frank gave his team the tactic to bully us. And because he's seen the games where we've lost this season, what's happened to us? Chelsea bullied us, United bullied us, whatever. And he thought, you know what, that's the tactic we're going to use on them. And these guys went too far, bro. They could have got about 4 red cards when you really look at it. I lost a bit of respect for Thomas Frank after that game. I actually like the guy. So, but do you think it was the players? Because I don't watch Tottenham, bro. Do they normally play like that? In that aggressive demeanor? I don't think so.
No, they don't.
Romario is a bit of a...
he's a hothead. Yeah, he's a hothead.
And that's why I would never... I don't know who someone was saying back in the day, I'd love to have him at Liverpool. I said, bro. Him and Rudiger. Like, Rudiger and him are sort of same mentality, very wild and whatever.
There's a part of me actually likes Richarlison because I liked him at Watford before Everton bought him, and I coveted the idea of us nicking him. Thought he might be good here, but he's got too he's too temperamental and it's to his detriment as a player. But he's a great impact sub, and he was there just before he come on. My dad went, "Why haven't you brought Richarlison on?" Because he likes him because he supports Everton, and he came on like as soon as the words come out with Dad's mouth, he came on and changed the game. But yeah, it was just embarrassing that we were under the cosh by 9 men at the end. We've got to sort that out, and hopefully the fact that we got through it will give them a little bit of strength, and we'll try and cut that out against Wolves, because for Wolves to hurt us, we're going to have to make mistakes, I think, because they're that poor at the moment. I mean, any Premier League team can score against you, but as long as we don't make mistakes this time, I don't really know what happened for their goal. It's just one of those horrible... And we've had fortunate goals this season where it's bounced for us. It just bounced right for him, and it had to be him of all players to add to the sort of ensuing melee from their fans, like to get back in it. But to be under the cosh by 9 men was a bloody embarrassment at the end. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I get that. Did you want to comment that, or do you want me to ask you a different question, Nolante?
Yeah, I mean, they just add what JK and Lee said. Yeah, the referee obviously, so Tottenham again, they're under big pressure. I mean, Slot, both teams
They
are under
are.
pressure. A
They
lot of
are.
criticism, and I don't think they'll be this struggling this bad under Frank. And yeah, there's a lot to it. So obviously, Frank obviously was, saying about decisions, and that's all he could do. And obviously, they showed heart. By the end of the day, it's a loss, and there's a lot of pressure on the Tottenham players since they got, they came out, but we didn't. We should have punished them more. But at the end of the day, we got the win. But at some point, there has to be that click where this team just, in terms of, we're getting the wins, just performances. Performances. I mean, the only, performances, 90 minutes. It's been more in the Champions League, even though our wins. I mean, actually, the Brighton one was I think the Brighton one was probably near enough our best performance of the season. Near to Arsenal. So, yeah. So, it's just one of those things. Each game, the referees feel it's going to happen with all teams upwards, but we just move. We got the win, thank God. Otherwise, there would have been a big meltdown. Oh my God, So, and we just move on to Wolves. That's it.
Could you imagine?
I just think that
has been brought back to 2-2. I mean, one of their coaches got booked as well. Spurs. It was
he did. He did. Yeah, he did get a card.
That just added to it, didn't it? That enraged their fans.
But that's the thing about it, that Tottenham didn't just lose their heads. They exposed, I think, who they are under pressure. They are under pressure. The manager's under pressure. You know how Spurs fan base are. They're putting an immense amount of pressures on their players as well to perform. And hotheads like Romero are being called out, actually, but also, the wild cards like Richarlison are being praised because of the intensity and the chaos that he brings to the pitch. But I don't even think it was intensity. I don't think it was passion. It was like desperation. They were playing with desperation to get something in front of their home fans. The studs down on the calf, or even on the thigh. Kicks after the whistle, hands on the throat. Like you see, these are just 4 of the incidents right there. That incident right there was I think it was Bentancur running into Kirkes long after the ball had been already gone. He just does like throws his shoulder into Kirkes and knocks him out of bounds. Like, that's not competitiveness. That's a team unraveling.
Yellow, the one on Kirkes and Ibu's one incensed me. I thought that was really unfair on Ibu. Tiny bit clumsy, but it was nothing more than a foul. What have they done to the bloody game?
I don't have that picture.
Fouls that are given now. Do you know what I mean? For I tell you something. If Van de Ven would have been yellow carded when he studded Isak in the thigh, he would never have made that second challenge. He'd have made it, but not scissored them. I reckon, because he wouldn't have want to got sent off, but not carding him for the studding in the thigh, which is a pretty bad one, being studded in the thigh like that. There was no reason for him to do it. The ball was lower, and he come out and done it. No, I'll say that for not only Isak.
No, there were Spurs, dude. There were Spurs fans. There were Spurs fans on the internet saying that John Brooks should have been wearing a red colored kit instead of his black referee jersey. And I'm just like, I don't know what you're watching, but I mean, your players were playing aggressive, dirty at times, and were and playing just absolutely stupid at other times. Look, Romero won the foul. He got the foul called on Ibu in a precarious spot on the pitch. And what's he do? Because he's just angry, he kicks Ibu. When they're on the ground, kicks at him. You can't do that. Right in front of the referee. That's you're on a yellow. That's just stupidity. You're the team captain. And you're trying to crawl and scratch your way back to a not even remotely deserved point in this game. And you do that, you deserve it. You deserve your walking orders. But
you said before. Sorry. Yeah, said before
What
about
I said before.
teams bullying us. We've got no problem with teams trying to bully us. We've got to withstand that. You know what I mean? It's a physical contact sport. No problem with it. As long as it's within the law. It's when players get serious injuries that I'm not happy.
That's what I was about to say, Lee. That's exactly what I was about to say. I don't know if Nolante and JK feel different, but I'm sure they don't actually. But look, the thing about this refereeing, especially here in the Premier League, it's not solely about the missed decisions, or maybe or maybe different interpretations of decisions. I think when you miss those kinds of decisions and you don't properly assess them as being the kind of fouls that they are, then you're failing the primary responsibility of a referee, and that is player safety. The Richarlison incident isn't subjective. It's not subjective. I will show you once again. Look, that is not to be allowed in the game. You can't pin a man down to the ground and hold him by the throat of by his neck. That's not allowed.
It's a pretty damning still of him, isn't it? Like,
and I say when officiating fails to protect players, you're going to have frustrations. They're going to escalate. You're going to have retaliation type fouls and things such as that. And suddenly, you're going to have a player step up like Adama Sabasli, get angry and start to yell at the referee, or maybe get into an instep with another player. And then all of a sudden, we're picking up yellow cards because we're frustrated about the officiating being absolutely abysmal.
Yeah, he lost control after the Simmons thing, and really didn't want to punish them too severely because he'd already sent Simmons off. But just because they're the home team, shouldn't have mattered, mate. And then the Van de Ven challenge on Isak, the first one, when he come out and studded him in the thigh, that was dangerous play. His foot was dangerously high where it didn't need to be. Studding someone in the thigh in that manner, the way that happened, not always a serious injury, but you can get injured that way. And it's bloody, there's no need for him to do it. That was dangerous play for me. If it would have been carded then, I doubt Isak would be injured now because he'd have been on a foul already.
He wouldn't have been on the pitch actually. But
you keep you know what? No, don't get dangerous play, and that was
that's okay. So that's a good transition, and this is what I wanted to bring up, Lee. And I definitely want to make sure that JK and Lante get involved in this conversation, because there was a particular play that started it all, basically, and that was, we get it. The league isn't going to protect champions; it's going to test them. We get that. But before we leave the subject, I wanted to deal with something I heard Gary Lineker say about this particular foul right here.
Oh yeah, I heard. I saw read this. I heard.
And this is why I think you hear some of this stuff that comes out, and this is fact versus misinformation. This is what he had to say, and I'll give you the quote of what he said. Gary said, "I mean, there's absolutely no intent. There's absolutely zero intent. I mean, yes, Virg might have got hurt. That happens in football. It happens all the time. Doesn't mean to say it's a vicious foul. I just can't stand red cards for things like that. It was nothing. It's another one of those that looks in slow motion. You go, oh, blimey. He's raked down the back of his calf. In normal speed, it wasn't that. It's not like that at all. It's not like that at all. And I know they all thought it was a red card. And you two may think it's a red card. And I understand now that when they look at things, they might go and break it down so slowly. But when you see it in normal speed, it's just his foot landing. He flicks him. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. Gary Lineker claimed that this was absolutely zero intent. There's no red card, and the challenge was nothing. The argument, I think, is utter garbage, though, because you know why? There isn't anything that says intent. Oh, did the player intend to go across the player's Achilles? No, he didn't intend to do it. Did he mean to go and do a hot? Look at that play right there. He's nowhere near the ball, and it's reckless. Nowhere in the laws of the game does it say intent is required to judge a red card. Not once, not indirectly, not implied. The laws are crystal clear. A red card is issued for a serious foul by a player when a player endangers the safety of an opponent. Plain and simple, period. You can use excessive force into it, makes contact with studs to a vulnerable area. Those are in the rules. Whether you want to have that be a part of your understanding is your personal fight or battle you have to deal with. But the intent is irrelevant. Don't allow for these types of plays to occur. And guess what? People will stop making these type of challenges. Because it's not, injuries happen. Who cares? No, take out that portion of it so that injuries like this don't happen, possibly. I'm sure with something like this said, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd love to hear what Gary Lineker said when Virgil van Dijk got scissor tackled by Pickford.
Tackled at knee height by Pickford.
I would love to hear what he has to say about that. Injuries happen. No, it's okay. Injuries happen. That's not a red card. He didn't even get a red card for that, Pickford.
The offside apparently negated the whole thing, and this awful challenge which ended our title defense on the spot.
Which it doesn't. You can still get a card. Lee, you can still get a card on the offsides. That goes to the point of what you were talking about, Van de Ven. Apparently, because Isak scored, it negates the fact that Van de Ven's tackle was late, was reckless, and ended up injuring the player because it was a poorly timed, poorly placed challenge.
No, I'm convinced with the Van de Ven one. I've been around years, mate, seen a lot of challenges, and he meant that. He meant Isak to get off the pitch. With the Simmons one, I would like to believe that because it's his international teammate, he just lost his head for a minute and committed it. It's a horrible bloody raking him down the back. To Virgil's credit, he didn't milk it the way some players would, do you know what I mean? But my dad said to me when Simmons was walking off, he said, "Why is Van Dijk shaking his hands?" I said, "Because they're international teammates, Dad." And he couldn't understand. He said, after that tackle, said, "Oh, they're international teammates." I think he just lost his head a bit there, whereas Pickford willfully went out to hurt Virgil with that tackle because they were so shit at the time and we were champions.
It's like Tarkowski. It's like the Tarkowski challenge on McAllister against in Everton. Well, it's because it's a derby and that's how they play in these games. And that's just accepted. That this guy could have basically ended someone's career with that kind of tackle. I don't even think he didn't get did he get a yellow card for that tackle? I know he didn't get a red card for it because he went on to score the game equalizer. This is not acceptable at all.
Remember after Pickford had done that to Van Dijk, Richarlison wasn't satisfied and then nailed Thiago, which put Thiago out for 3 months in the same game.
Exactly. Oh, I remember that too.
Mate, I was there when we played a derby in the League Cup against Everton, and Jim Beglin, really good Irish left back. He was so promising, and you could see he was brilliant to replace Alan Kennedy, and Gary Stevens, the Everton and England right back, caught him with a bad tackle, and that was the end of his career. He played again for Leeds for a few games in the second division, but he was so good. But a tasty derby tackle put the end to him. But yeah, the Pickford one, there was no excuse, mate. It was just, it was malicious, that Pickford one. And I'll hate him forevermore for that, because we would have defended the title with Virgil in the team.
Tarkowski knew what he was doing against McAllister.
Oh, that was malevolent, the Tarkowski one. He said after the game, that was a bit nuts. The reporter said to him on match today, what about that tackle? He went, oh, it was a bit of a naughty one. That for naughty, mate. That was pure evil. That was spiteful what you did there, mate. There's a difference between naughty and spitefully malevolent, and that's what that was.
But that's the point. You know, like, I think that Spurs have entered that dirty team perspective simply because of their desperation. And I get you're trying to leave, you're trying to make it a physical game and everything else and the likes, but there's a line that you crossed. And there was a image. I don't think I have the image on my ready to call up right here, but there was an image, for instance, once Isak was on the ground, Bert Ball is like holding back Bentancur, who is screaming down at Isak to get up and stop faking it. He's telling him to get up, get off the pitch. What are you doing?
You know,
he's yelling at him.
Yeah. You said then, like, Spurs were desperate for a result, like, and that. So were we, mate. You know what I mean? We were desperate for a result and have been for months. Like, we've been really bad and desperate for anything, but we haven't resorted to nailing the opposition's best players to try and get a result.
To name them or take them out of games or possibly end their careers. That's not what we're doing. We're not allowing for. We haven't seen our team. That's probably why we win I forget what the name of the award is, but we win like basically the good sportsmanship award pretty much, every year, is because we don't tend to play to these antics.
I saw a humorous comment in the comment section about Isak's injury that propagated the notion that the owner of a certain northeast club that plays in black and white paid Virgil van Dijk a sum of money. And then someone even expanded on it for a laugh and said it's arrived in his account. There's been reports of like what a money landed in his account. Couldn't help laughing, like, but mate,
I'm not doing that. That's some conspiracy.
Fans who were laughing about him being injured, and I suspect there are a few of them when Newcastle.
That's ugly. Oh, I saw that. There were.
Yeah, I've seen that as well.
I saw like, Newcastle fans taking time out of their lives to go and join Liverpool related, like Liverpool oriented channels to gloat about Isak's injury. That is low class. That's low class. There are some players that I cannot stand, but there's no way that I would go on to other people's. It's like I wouldn't go into someone else's home and talk about the loss of someone in their family.
Right. Our players, when they move on, I forget.
Real Madrid players,
you know what I mean?
About Trent, that's ugly too.
I've never done it. Like, why? Why do you want to do it? Is that his life, his career now? Carry on, bro.
Carry on.
Madness.
Yeah,
I see that Newcastle thing anyway with their fans saying, great, this, that, and the other. I was like, you know what? That's football. That's past football.
Yeah.
That's when broke his leg, can't play again.
Your club, they're gone, aren't they? It's a waste of energy and time. Like, having like a hatred for them once they've left. You can have a bit of a cob on, but going that far, like, you know what I mean, is it's a bit much, isn't it?
They did that against us too. I mean, like, to be honest with you, I mean, they were very physical in the game at St. James Park against us, Newcastle, if you want to talk about it. And they were making it a point to try to leave one on us. There was the tackle against Gravenberch, and there's, and Bruno trying to instigate things against him. And there were like, there were some ugly tackles and some ugly challenges in that game. Obviously Joe Linton is known for being a little bit, dirty when it comes to his play. And I mean, I just think that my point of bringing all this up, Ekitike was a target. I think you're right. Songs 4K. I just think that what I'm trying to I'm trying to really bring to light is that I don't think that these teams should be rewarded for this type of play. I don't think it's a good road to lead down if you're going to make it if you're going to make it this type of play gets championed or rewarded in one way or another by not calling fouls for what they are, and that is cheap, dirty, and sometimes reckless as well. And they should be adjudicated properly. And some of these fouls were seen as just that. The Isak foul in the top right-hand corner. I'll make the picture larger for everyone to see, actually. The Isak foul right there, that ball is long gone. Long gone. Van de Ven has no real opportunity to make a play on it. He's just making sure that he puts a knock in on the player.
No, he could have avoided doing that scissor bit at the end. As soon as I've seen it, I've seen them before, mate, over the years, like, and he meant that. Just like he meant the stud on the thigh, like, earlier in the game, which is sad, as he would have been, if he would have been booked for it, he'd probably still be fit to play. But there you go, that's just the way it is sometimes. Like, we don't resort to that, like, but I will admit there was a certain bit of schadenfreude for me with Rodri. He's only from the point of view that Rodri is a shitbag of a guy on the pitch when he tried to claim a penalty off Gravenberch. Gravenberch jumped up defending a free kick. Rodri took Rick Gravenberch on the arm. It's like the arse. His arms were nowhere near it. They were folded. It is on the arse, and Rodri claimed a penalty. And I thought, oh, you're a horrible person.
What do you want to say about the Nalante? What did you want to say about Gary Lineker's comments? Either you or JK, it doesn't matter, either or both if we can.
Could I ask you to repeat them, because I had to nip the toilet when you said them?
It's long. It's long, man.
Okay, so basically 12. I'll take over this.
Version of what he said, is it good or bad?
No, you know what? I'll try to put it. I'll put it.
It's
in the
bad.
chat.
It's not good. So, in other words, he basically disagreed with Simmons' red card. He said that should have been a red card. In other words, that's it.
Well, don't like that. I've always liked Gary. He's one of the only lookalikes I've ever been said that look like someone, and I didn't mind it. The other ones are bad.
Yeah. Lee Lineker.
Me, Gary Lineker.
Yeah. Lee Lineker. Yeah. Walker's Chris. I can see that, Lee. You Walker's Chris, Anfield Stadium. You go in your red of Liverpool shirt, crown paints, 1986.
He's a good presenter, like, when he first come out, because he's articulate and quite funny, like, and that.
Yeah, I don't mind Lineker. Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah.
I don't mind him either. Don't get it twisted. I don't mind him either, but I think that's just reckless to say something like that, though.
Yeah,
that's how players get hurt.
That's
how players get hurt. And I understand that maybe he's referencing an error of the game when he played. Because they, you hear Steve Nicol or, like you hear like their renditions of, what would have happened if this happened or that happened, or a player did this, a player did that, and he's walking off or not even walking off, he's getting carried off in the stretcher, in their era. I get that. But that era is no longer present. We're trying to keep the stars that we have, or the players and the level of star quality that we have, available. We're trying to keep them available. If I wanted to watch rugby, then I would simply do that. Or at least was it?
He played for Everton and of course Leicester, his hometown team, but he's mainly a Spurs man, so he was always going to say that. Like, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he didn't have to say it, like, but I'm not surprised now that you've told me.
Songs Bouquet broke it down. I put the whole quote in there for you. But he said, Lineker said it wasn't intentional, maybe. So it wasn't nothing. And that's not true, says Songs 4K. That's the bottom line. You got Spurs fans online saying that the referee was didn't call enough or called too many fouls, and that he was biased in Liverpool's favor. You have Thomas Frank saying somewhat the same in the sense of talking about certain calls being made that impacted the game. The Bentancur one, that was like pass interference, Bentancur is he's a piece of work, man.
Good player then. But he can be a bit tasty in that way, can't he, with his fouls. Spurs annoyed me, as I've told you many times.
The fact that I can't have. I'll see if I can find that picture so I can show you. I think I still have it somewhere on my desktop. But the fact that he was standing above Isak, yelling at him to get up, to stop faking. Basically, he was thinking that he was milking the situation, trying to get one of his players into it. Let me see if I can find it. Seriously ugly. This is it right here. Whoops. And I'm gonna show you this. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Let me see if this is better. All right, this is the image. I'll show you the image right now. And this is why I was like, this guy's a piece of work. I'll have to make it larger for you to see. This was the image that I'm speaking on. Oops, I have to take this down. Hold on, sorry. Yeah, that's class.
Well, I hope he felt it right when he found
riling over in pain. This guy's leg broken by a freaking horrible, reckless challenge by your own teammate, and you're standing over him, yelling at him. You can see his own player holding him back. That's class, huh?
It is. That is a certain type of shit, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? I hope he felt a dickhead when he found out how long he's going to be.
I don't know if you get a chance to look at the replay of what happened, or get a chance to look at the replay. There was a lot of the Spurs were being really disrespectful to Isak and to us as a team in general. There were players stepping over Isak. Yeah, they were trying to argue with people. There were Liverpool players having to push them back from being on top, basically hovering over top of Isak on the ground. And there's Spurs players walking over him as if he's not even there. That's the level of disrespect and ugliness that I'm saying. Look, I have a lot of friends that are Spurs fans. I have a lot of friends that are I like the Spurs community and the likes. I'm not saying this is a reflection of you at all, but what I am saying is this is something that you should not be proud of your team being, because that is classless.
No,
maybe I stand alone on that stance, but I think that's
when someone's milking it and it's like obvious from the get-go that they're milking it, that's okay, that's acceptable. But that's far from what Isak was doing, milking it. He literally could not stand up because he'd fractured his ankle. And it is bad optics, in it. It's bad sportsmanship. That I don't mind if somebody's milking it over nothing, because I feel like, being on the pitch myself, so I could do more than shout at them. But in that situation, no.
It's out of character, like Psalms 4K. That's the point of what I'm trying to get at. It's out of character. I don't expect Spurs to be this team. I don't think this is a direct reflection of Thomas Frank as a coach. I don't think he's that kind of coach that that is trying to instill that kind of dirtiness. Is no other word to put it for his players. But this Spurs team, is lost. Like, they are lost if you're doing things such as this. If you're doing all the things that we saw in that game, that is a team that is lost their direction, lost the spirit and character of what they should be holding. I think personally, I mean, they need to restore it in one way or another. Did you guys want to say something before we wrap up here? Because we're already at 2.5 hours of a show.
Yeah, bro. I just like everything what you were talking about there about the Tottenham game. Probably one of the worst opposition displays I've ever seen, probably, bro. That was proper nasty. And I'm surprised if the other authorities, you can sort of, after games, they can sort of bring players in and sort of give them punishment and that. That needs to be looked at. Yeah.
That should have been, but I don't think that they will.
It ain't going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
Aside from the Newcastle game, this was the most ill-tempered, ill-disciplined display I've seen from an opponent. Like, apart from that Newcastle game, that was the other one where they lost their heads. But its players are out now, injured, or at least one was injured, like by their bad sportsmanship. From my point of view, they were too wound up. Like, you don't want to hurt opponents. You want to hit them and make them feel, but that's it, not injure them. And there was too much of that in the game. And I was a bit surprised at Spurs. I've told you loads of time, me old man stories about, like, footy. I used to like Spurs when I was a kid and all that shit, because they were London's glamour club, and they were. And but now I was pissed off with them yesterday. I was angry with their players, and if any of their fans were having to go with the referee quite early, weren't they? Like, you know what I mean? And he sort of lost his bottle a bit and lost control, didn't he? But them saying like that he was on our side is a bit of a stretch when you see the replay of what Simmons done to Virgil to say that. I mean, Gary Lineker needs to consult his dictionary and look up what the word unintentional means, I think. Because if that wasn't unintentional, then I don't know what is, I don't know what intentional is.
But I think when he was getting sent off, I think the crowd get to see the challenge. I'm not sure, because they started booing, didn't they?
They did.
So I'm thinking they sort of might have shown that. Come on, bro. Even if one of our players did that to one of their players, I'd be saying straight, that's a red.
No, you're talking about the crowd, which is unfortunate for, again, I hold a lot of admiration towards Spurs fans, but for them to boo, they were booing Virgil van Dijk after
the whole game.
the whole game, because of the red card that was called on Simons.
Mate, that new stadium of theirs has got loads of like big
what are you doing?
Screens on it and that, so they'd seen it, and half time they'd seen it to death, and then still come out giving them grief, which was richly comical, you know what I mean, but also like annoying, like, and hypocritical.
That's
modern day fans, man.
Spurs head loss really took off after Ekitike's goal. I think it did actually. Romero was booked for protesting. That's when he got his first. He was. Yeah.
And what do you think of that? Should that have been disallowed? Ekitike's goal?
No.
No. Oh, that was pathetic. That dive from Romero. The ball dropping over.
Kind of. Yeah, but I mean,
The ref was perfectly placed. I love
Yeah. I think he just showed more desire
to the spot. I was like, I don't know.
There could have been. There was a little bit of his arm into his back.
Yeah.
Just a little touch. Hence why I was a bit worried. I was like, oh. But fair play, he got the goal and stuff. But fair play to Ekitike. He's the one guy out of all the signings that's always sort of tried to show up. You know what I mean? He's going to be the main guy now. He knows he's starting every game. So hopefully he'll carry on scoring. But all in all, that game against Tottenham, even that he's like, we won that game, and it didn't even feel like we did because of all the other shenanigans that went on.
All the shenanigans that happened, yeah.
It took the gloss off the win, hasn't it?
Big
like
time,
all the other stuff. But the Hugo thing, I'm rapidly falling in love with him as a player. He's got a bit of savoir-faire, hasn't he? Like, and he knows where the goal is.
He could have got stretchered off. He could have got anything that.
He could have milked it. He could have went down and acted like.
No, he could have been serious, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, like you could see the rips from the cleats in his sock on his cap.
So I'm actually sort of happy that nothing else came from that.
Because that could have been dangerous, man. If he, it's not that the intent has nothing to do. That's why Lineker's comment so off base. Oh, the intent, he had no intent. Well, guess what? His intent of not being more cautious or more in control of his challenge allowed for it to possibly be something that could have resulted in a severe injury. If Virgil van Dijk goes down on something like that, I would be so angry that words I can't express how angry it was. That's how angry I would be. Because the referee allowing for play like that to exist without any ramification and repercussion for it to me is why you gotta have rules that get adjudicated properly. Otherwise, what are we doing out here? Sometimes they're rules, sometimes they're not rules.
He was a new one to me, John Brooks. I hadn't heard of him before, but
yeah, I remember you said that before.
Yeah,
in the red roll call. You was like, John Brooks.
You remember him now, don't you?
You remember him now?
Well, yeah, I mean, the guy who expelled me from school, our deputy head, was called that, and he was a dickhead. Okay. So was this red.
All right.
I should have told you everything then.
Yeah, I guess he should have went with experience. But look, Liverpool are stretched, but not broken. Plans are forming. Pressure is mounting. Choices are definitely going to be made. The club survives these moments, and it's important that we don't flinch and we stand tall and walk together through all this. I do have a Reds moment of Zen for you before we leave you, but I'll allow for the panel to say au revoir, and then say their au revoirs, and then I'll show you the Reds moment of Zen. See what you guys think and feel about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I just want to say thanks to the chat.
Go ahead, JJ.
Yeah, thanks for the chat, the bare points and stuff, and the panel as well. I've never felt so frustrated after a win. I don't think in my whole Liverpool career of supporting them. Weird, we won, but it don't feel like that weirdness.
The Premier League panel voted Ekitike's goal was a foul, but not enough to overturn on VAR. Okay. I mean, look, I don't have a problem with it being deemed as not a goal, but if that's the case, then guess what? I want to see the holding calls. Call that then. Because there's been times I've seen VVD go up and get pushed or get held, and nothing gets called. Nothing gets called. So if you're going to call it one way, call it the other way too. That's not anything.
You couldn't have got a better view of it than the referee had for Romero's attempt to win a foul. But the ball was dropping over his head. Only if he was like 4 inches taller would he have had a chance of getting it. And he knew that. And that like lame thing he did was just bollocks, like, do you know what I mean? And the idea that they're saying now it was a foul, but not enough to overturn it, is just that just like twists my mind. I don't understand that. Like, there's no foul there.
If they just call the wrestling and shoving, we'd see more skill. I think we see more goals outright. Sounds 4K. I think you're spot on with that. Lee, you want to say au revoir?
Yeah, thanks everyone who's been in the chat. It did take the gloss off the game, the suspension of Szoboszlai, the injury of Isak, but the table looks better now, doesn't it? And hopefully it get better than it is even now in coming weeks. So we'll keep the faith high, and things are improving a bit, aren't they, despite the bad news on the injury and suspension front. So we bear that in mind, and cheers everyone for being in, for watching tonight. Buenas noches.
Buenas noches. You definitely want to stay for the moment of the Reds moment of Zen. Nalante, I'll allow for you to give your parting words, and then I'll bring up the Reds moment of Zen as my last words.
Pick up everyone, big in the chat. Stay safe, stay blessed, and see you another time on the Liverpool Talk, man. Peace out.
All right. Plain and simple, definitely kept it basic. Look, as always, up the Reds, but I wanted to leave you with this little Reds moment of Zen. I know we were talking about fouls or pushing and grabbing, and whether it was a real foul or wasn't a real foul or not. Well, here you go. Here's your Reds moment of Zen. All right, people. You guys take care and enjoy, and we'll see you tomorrow. Up the Reds each and every time.